Welcome back, guys. Happy Sunday, a bonus special episode today. We are talking about a lot. We have Blake comparing Justin Baldoni to Weinstein. We have Justin's team comparing Blake to Dahmer. We have Isabella, who seems to have no idea what's going on and is just parroting what other people have told her. Blake also, surprisingly, seems to have absolutely no idea what's going on. And I'm more and more convinced. Y'all have convinced me. I think Ryan's been driving the bus. I've been hesitant to say that, but after seeing what Blake had to say, I'm convinced Blake is just parroting things other people have told her to say. It has just got absolutely insane on the docket, and I thought we have got to talk about this, so we're going to talk about it today. Now, something I just want to let you guys know is that originally I didn't really have a cap for today, but I do have a cap now because tomorrow we have a lot of showings booked for the house. So I got to clean the farm. I got to get out in the mud and clean the farm to get prepared for tomorrow. So we are going to zoom through some of the stuff. We read Blake's in full yesterday on the members only stream, but we're going to get to all the good parts. Don't you worry. How are you guys doing? It's so nice to see everyone in the chat. Yes, please like the stream, hit subscribe if you're not a subscriber yet. And you guys will be able to start the week caught up on everything on the docket with Justin and Blake and ready to hit the ground running. God knows we're probably going to get a lot more. Now, before we get too far into it, and as everyone kind of settles in and shows up and all the notifications go out, I want to let you guys know about a couple things. So if you are new here, you might not know about this, but I have a Substack as well, where I go every week. I do a 3-part series. Part of it is free to everyone. The other part is strictly for Substack subscribers. And today, it's probably going to be later today, to be honest, because today's going to be a packed day for me. What we're getting into this week was more of like politics and how there's media manipulation in politics. Today, we're looking at Oracle. So Oracle is owned by Larry Ellison, who is one of the people that bought, I think he's 15% share of TikTok. He owns basically everything. Like he owns legacy media. Now he's starting to own social media. Where the interesting piece, though, is we know he's done a lot of work with Israel with the cloud and AI and governmental tech. In regards to technology in the cloud, he's done a lot of work for Israel, Larry Ellison. But what you might not have heard is that the day before the Iranian war began, there was a new deal inked between Oracle and Trump and the US government. And what it looks like is they have a role now, Oracle, in securing like high level data, like secret, top secret data. So this was the day before. There's no firewall. So they're doing all this cloud work, all this AI work. There's no firewalls or protection between the federal government, their commercial AI and cloud work, and their media environments proposed. Like there's no protection on this information that I can find. And it was the day before the war started. So they announced a new DISA Impact Level 5, IL5, and FedRAMP high approvals for services including generative AI, Xdata, Cloud at Customer, and others. And these allow compliance use in U.S. government cloud and defensive cloud for sensitive, controlled, unclassified information with features like encryption, access controls, and audit logging aligned to NIST/FISMA. So if government media manipulation is something you enjoy, I highly recommend getting over to Substack because it's going to get more explosive. And because every time I talk about the government on this channel gets hit. I get like the YouTube version of shadow banned. A lot of my government media manipulation is going to be over on Substack. So you're going to want to be over there. Okay. So where should we even get started today? Do we get started with Dahmer? Do we get started with Weinstein? Do we get started with Blake and Isabella, both clearly being clueless? Where do I begin? All right. What do I have pulled up first? Let's see. God, guys, this docket is just insane. Let's actually start with Blake. I didn't have it pulled up, but I'm going to find it. So it just might take me a second to find this. I thought I had it pulled up. This morning has been insane already. So I did not, it looks like. Sorry, guys. Chat in the chat. If I can't find it quick enough, we will move on. Okay. Let's start with Blake because honestly, guys, I'm starting to believe that one, you are right. Ryan Reynolds is completely running everything. I've been very hesitant to agree on that, but now I'm convinced. I'm also convinced that Blake has been very sheltered. I don't think she's lying in these parts of her deposition. I think she's genuinely been so sheltered that no one's been honest with her on how bad the feedback or how bad her reputation has been at certain points in time because she seems completely shocked. Completely shocked. So let's get this one out of the way first. So these are pieces of Blake Lively's deposition and the transcript on it. So I'm not going to go over all 12 pages. We did that on the members only live yesterday, but to just give you an idea. So first she says, yes, like I feel like they had employed bots to ruin my reputation. Now they keep pushing. They're like, well, we need to know exactly what the smear was. We need to know exactly what happened. And she just keeps saying like, I believe so. I believe they had bots. She does say that she had sent text messages to friends and loved ones about it. But where are those text messages is one of my questions. Where are the text messages? I haven't seen them. They haven't been entered in the docket if she's actually talked about being concerned about this smear campaign previous to the New York Times article with her friends. And it continues going on. They ask her, well, who used the bots? Like who in all these people you are suing use the bots? They don't, she doesn't know. She's like, I think they just work together. Now, she says here, they work together to harm my reputation digitally. And she says again, now this is a piece that really, I feel is very telling. So up here in this transcript, Blake is like, yes, I believe they use bots. And she says it multiple times. Now, when you get to this part, they ask her again, do you believe they used bots to do so, to digitally harm you? And she goes, I'm not sure if they used bots. So which is it? And I think this is the most honest Blake's ever been. I don't think Blake is convinced they did. I think someone told her they did, or someone told her there's no way people don't love you, Blake, so this has got to be fake. Because she said, I'm not sure. And then they keep pushing and she says, yeah, I believe they did. Yeah. And then they say, well, why do you believe this? Because of the experiences that I was having and because others felt the same. Now, when you actually go through this, so she says it's like harassment, it's digital harassment. When you actually go through line for line, Blake's deposition pieces that have been released, I'm at a point where I believe Blake was like, holy shit, what is happening? Because if you even look at the graphs, and Zach Peter had shared this on X as well, if you look at the graphs that Justin's team had put out, the feedback was generally positive about her. There wasn't really negative feedback. So my honest opinion, and I know people will say, well, Sony called her a terrorist. I don't think they said that to her face at any point. I think what they said to her face were the emails that we saw where they were like, wow, it's going really great. She should be happy. Like it's selling really well. It's a monetary success. This is amazing. I feel like, yeah, they probably said to her, Blake, maybe have you thought about doing a different direction for marketing? Like, this might not be a great idea. Like maybe we do a little bit more of this. And she was like, no, this is what I'm doing. They're like, you go, girl. You go, girl. You do that. Because I genuinely, the dogs are going to start barking now. What a gong show today is. Let me just close the door. You tell someone to not come on property and people can't fucking read. All right. There's a lot of Blake Lively's in the world, allegedly. We have someone picking, just for context, We had someone picking something up at the farm today. And I was like, do not drive on property for biosecurity because we have farm animals here. We have a farm animal sanctuary, etc. Disease is a very real thing. It can travel on tires. And I'm like, very like, do not come on our property. And they just fucking pulled on the property. There's nothing that upsets me more because it's very real risk for the animals here. Oh, I'm pissed. Okay. I'm going to try and refocus my anger that people cannot read. You know, Blake Lively's not that special. People can't read. When you say, do not drive on the property, biosecurity is important to me. We have a sanctuary. We have animals. Don't drive. And they're like, just fucking drive on the property. Okay, so I'm going to try really hard to get refocused. I honestly think that they likely suggested to her that, sorry, guys. Today's just not a day to stream, guys. It is a crazy day. I'm going to try my best. So I don't think that anyone told her really how bad it was. I don't think anyone called her a terrorist to her face. Yeah, people's stupidity never, like, it's not hard to read. And I'm so pissed because with the farm animals, like, stuff can come on just on your tires and then the tundra. And if you walk, you know, over it and then you walk in the pens with like so much disease. Now the dogs are driving me nuts. So much disease can happen. And I just drives me nuts. Yeah, that's probably what they're saying. Like, I didn't drive on, what are you talking about? I just drove on the driveway. I wasn't like driving across your lawn. I am so sorry, guys. Oh, I am sorry. Now it's to try and get refocused, and I'm gonna get a rash. Oh, okay. This is why I need a gate at the bottom of the driveway. But anyway, neither here nor there. We're trying to sell anyway. So I don't think anyone has been fully honest with Blake at any one point in time where like how bad it is or how bad it was. I think they probably suggested to her that it's probably not a good idea. But when I think about, you know, especially how Ari Emanuel came out in support of Ryan and Blake, I think there's a genuine like fear to upset Ryan. So I don't think these people will come out and be like, you know, in a meeting with Ryan Blake and be like, Blake, you are a terrorist. Like, you are a horrible person. This is a bad idea. The public's going to turn on you. You're going to ruin everything. I don't think they would do that. I think even if they did bring it up, they're like kind of on eggshells because you don't want to upset Ryan. Then we see that with Ari Emanuel, right? So I believe when she says, because of the experience I was having, I picture her being like, holy shit, I'm getting all this great feedback. People are telling me it's doing really well. It's selling like hotcakes. And now everyone hates me. And I genuinely think people, probably Ryan was in her ear. There's got to be something, like they're running a smear campaign. They've got to have bots. Like, people were just in her ear. And I don't think Blake's innocent. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying she's an innocent wilting flower. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sweet. I do nothing wrong. I don't think that. But I don't think people are as honest as they need to be with her and Ryan. And Ryan. Someone in Hollywood has got to take control of those two. But they won't right now because Ryan makes some money. But someone in Hollywood has got to tell these people no. So she's like, well, because of this experience, I was having this experience. Others felt the same. Something was wrong. So I was being harassed. I mean, digital harassment. And she says, negative stories are an element of what I was experiencing at the time. And they say here, and which of the defendants were involved in these negative stories? And she goes, I'm not any of the defendants, so I can't speak to them. So she has no idea. Someone just told her this can't be organic. There's got to be a smear campaign. She has no idea. What did Melissa Nathan do to put out? What did Melissa Nathan do to put out? And then it skips about 40 seconds. hired where there were text messages that said there's nothing to do here. So they're addressing like, Blake, did you not see the text messages where Melissa Nathan said there's nothing to do here, that it's organic? So there's a text message, Blake, and it says there's nothing to do here. All the press that's coming out is organically bad against Blake Lively. And they say, do you recall that? She goes, no. And they say, other than what you've testified to and the attorney-client privilege stuff that you can't testify to, do you have any other facts upon which to base your belief that there was this negative smear campaign? And when I say that, I'm referring to digital. I'm referring to articles and other forms of media. And she says, well, outside of attorney-client privileges, I can refer back to documents, the Jones work documents. Stephanie Jones, I can't wait for that trial. Because Blake's even saying, like, I don't know, I saw these documents that Stephanie Jones gave me, and it looked pretty fucking bad. Looked like they were running a smear campaign on me. Oh my God, that trial is going to be I think that one is going to be even more explosive than this one. I think the same. She's like legit incapable of believing she wasn't popular. And yeah, the Taylor and Ryan Association popularity, when people are used to acting horrible and not facing real reactions. And this is something I was thinking right before I came on this stream and I wanted to talk about. So thank you for reminding me, because people not following my instructions to keep my farm animal sanctuary safe, got me off track. Thank you for mentioning this. This is something I want to speak to. Again, not saying Blake is a good person, so don't misconstrue what I'm saying. Someone's going to crash out inevitably in the comments and be like, you're defending Blake. I'm not defending Blake. She was already a bad person, like in many ways, right? She thought it was funny to ruin Penn Badgley's reputation instead of Gossip Girl. Like there's all the, she's just been a mean girl. She's said things that are mean girl things. I don't think she's ever thought of them to be mean girl things, to be honest. I think if you ask, look at the rash developing. Oh my God. I think if you were to ask Blake Lively, are these mean things? She'd be like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Like it was funny. I was telling a joke. I was being funny. So you already have someone that has grown up sheltered, grown up probably told she's perfect. She can do no wrong. She grew up in a privileged family. She grew up in Hollywood. Opportunities were just handed to her. I think she's even talked about how she didn't really have to even audition for things. Opportunities are handed to her. And you take someone like that and you put them around the likes of Taylor and Ryan, and, Swifties are probably going to crash out, but that's okay. People like Taylor Swift, if you really look at the text messages, was in Blake's ear. Blake even said, I'm so happy to have a friend that thinks like the Roman Empire. Like, I'm so happy to have this friend that thinks of these things. So you put her, someone that has these tendencies, around people with a lot of money and power that also have those tendencies and the money and power and connections to back it up and get away with it. And I think you just got a recipe for disaster, to be honest. I genuinely don't think this woman thinks that there's anything wrong with what she's done. She's like, what do you mean? Like, Ryan does it all the time. Taylor does it all the time. Everyone, this is just what we do in Hollywood. Ask Ari Emanuel. Ask what he did to Wesley Snipes. Ask what he did to Terry Crews. Like, this is just how we roll in Hollywood. What are you talking about? I think that's how disconnected she is. But then imagine saying that. We were talking about this yesterday in the members only. I said, imagine saying that to a jury and going, no, this is just how Hollywood is. This is just how the uber rich and powerful are. You don't get it. I'm not being mean. This is just like the rules of how things go. I mean, it's just bananas. So she goes on to say, well, I don't know, like I have attorney-client privilege stuff that I was told, I'm looking back at these Jones work documents and the experience of being in the industry for over 20 years and understanding that there's a cadence. And those that are just jumping on, this is part of Blake Lively's transcript from her deposition. So in the industry for over 20 years, and I understand there's a cadence to news and media. She's not wrong. There is a cadence to news and media. So typically when there's a big spike, it can be a sign of maybe inorganic smear campaigns. She's not wrong there. However, when you look at the graphs that the Baldoni side have put in, it was like the New York Times that was like the major tipping point for her reputation. It wasn't because of Justin not on the carpet. It wasn't because of Justin not doing the marketing. The tipping point was the New York Times article. So she goes on to say, Blake Lively says, there's this cadence and my feeling about what happened weren't just mine. So people in her ear being like, yeah, Blakey, you're perfect. You're beautiful. You're stunning. You're the Met Gala princess. Look at you. People admire you. You're just wonderful. Of course, this isn't organic, girl. This is what I think a big part of her promise. She needs a come to Jesus moment. So she says, the feelings about what happened weren't just mine. I experienced this shock in real time alongside Sony, who had been studying the marketing and social sentiment of the film and the people in it the entire time. And they also felt this way. Now, what I'm sure a lot of people are going to jump to and go, but they were calling her a terrorist, not to her face. We have no proof of that. We do have emails where Sony was saying, this is a huge success. Everyone should be proud. So I'm not saying like literally bursting out in hives. I can see that probably to her face, they were like, we're shocked too. This can't be organic because it was doing so well and now it's not. Now I have thoughts on that as well, but I'll give them in a moment. The question, did you cause or suggest to the cast if it ends with us to stop following Justin Baldoni? She says no. Did you have any discussions with anybody in the cast about that? She says, yes, a couple of us spoke about it. Question, and who did you speak with? And she says, Jenny Slate. We're not going to read that word for word. Who else did you have discussions with following or about unfollowing Justin? She says, Colleen Hoover told me after her character had been attacked. And as a result, there were stories that were things I had never heard of and experiences I never had, as well as a mosaic of my Oh, there's a jump there. So after her character had been attacked. So Blake's saying, yeah, Colleen and I talked about it. She unfollowed after her character was attacked. And then she goes on to say, and as a result, so there's a jump here. We don't know the exact stuff that was taken out. There were stories that were things I had never heard of and experiences I never had, as well as a mosaic of any context-free negative moments from my past. And it goes on to say, they ask here, do you believe that you've never received before the smear campaign, you've never received negative press that called you a bully? And she says, that's not what I said. I don't tend to read much press, but I generally experienced a general level of positive, stable, healthy press. Do you recall anyone referring to you prior to the smear campaign as a bully or as a mean girl? And then they pause and they say, in the press. And she says specifically, no. I don't like Blake at all. And I do believe that she genuinely is like, I don't know what you're talking about. People love me. People don't think I'm a bully. I don't know what you're talking about. I believe her that she believes that because she's saying, look, there's a general level of positive and stable, healthy press. She says, like, I'm not saying there was never negative press. So she's like, look, I'm not saying there was never negative, but it's been generally positive and no one's called me a bully before. And she's in denial. She might be, but I don't think so. Hollywood stars are and can be sheltered this much. Like, you know, the jokes in media or like in movies when someone gets like a bad review and you go around and the characters are going around trying to like get all the press, the bad press, so they don't read it. And you don't want the person to know that people don't like their play. That shit goes on. So I'm not convinced. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. I honestly believe she can't believe people don't like her. Mm-hmm. I think she's so out to lunch, which also to the jury is going to play like, you're Delulu. Like, girl, please. Because they're going to see all this stuff. And for anyone just jumping on, I have rashes because someone drove on our property, picked some stuff up, and no one's allowed to drive on our property to protect our farm animal sanctuary. So yes, I am bright red. From when I'm stressed, I immediately break out in like hives. But this happens, and I work with public figures. I work with celebrities. Like, this level of isolation from bad news legit happens. This isn't like fantasy land. Blake's in fantasy land. But being this sheltered, where you're like, no one has literally ever called me a bully before, when it's not true, is not unheard of. Then they go, so this was all new to you at this time. She says, the magnitude with which these stories hit without any one event happening was not only new of the, and then it skips. So magnitude without any one event happening. And then it goes on of the narratives were assault on your character. Oh, okay. Then they're asking her about being a bully. So this is another thing that I think she's genuinely tone deaf around. And is not, in my opinion, look, I'm not a lawyer. I always joke I graduated from the Emily D. Baker School of Law, but I'm not a lawyer. I have 15 years of experience in branding, marketing, and PR with everyone from your new entrepreneur that's starting like a personal brand, that's starting a YouTube podcast, all the way up to celebrities, like big name celebrities. So I work with people that can be this Delulu. This is a new level of Delulu. But the fact that she says there was no event that happened that caused this, like, it came out of nowhere. I still don't think she honestly can see the problems with what, like, can I location share you? Or like, I'm a Virgo, or grab your friends, grab your florals. I think she is so delusional. She's like, nothing happened. I don't know what you're talking about. And I don't think she's faking here. I think she's genuinely confused. Like, how do people not like me? So, which is not an excuse for what she did. I'm not saying it negates everything. I'm not saying this is now, you get a free pass for being a psychopath. No. But I genuinely think someone needs to sit her and Ryan down, because I don't think anyone is on their side, sitting them down and saying, look, y'all caused this, because I don't think anyone is. I think everyone's blowing smoke up their ass. So anyway, she goes on and she goes like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, people love me, basically, is what she's saying. And then they go back and forth, and she's saying there were a lot of narratives, a lot of people calling me a bully, a mean girl, and they've never said these things before. And I'm not a bully, and I'm not a mean girl, is basically what she's saying. So there's that. Hollywood's burning anyway. Exactly. So there's no point in trying to save her career. Well, yeah, that too. Hollywood is burning. Where did I say that they didn't know they were trying to steal the movie? Where was I like, this is totally innocent? Again, Ashley's going to keep it together today. All right. Gotta love how everything's just misconstrued. Next, and when I literally have like so many exposés calling out, okay. Exposés calling them out. All right, next. Where do we go next? I have. Okay, let's go here because I think it's freaking hilarious. Let's talk about Justin for a bit. Okay. So, defendant's opposition of plaintiff Blake Lively's omnibus memorandum in support of her motions in limine. Okay, we don't need to read the whole 27 pages, but there's some stuff I want to talk about. Let's start with Dahmer. Okay. Now, the crazy thing for me is you have Blake's side calling Justin one of her experts. We're going to get to that as well. We looked at it yesterday on the members only. You have Justin's side Blake's side calling him the equivalent of Harvey Weinstein. You have Justin's side calling her essentially and drawing equivalents to her and Jeffrey Dahmer. It is insane the level of what this lawsuit has reached. I mean, the comparison to Dahmer is amazing, and it's so applicable. The comparison of Weinstein is not, in my opinion, but this Dahmer one slayed me. So we have here. Okay, so they're talking about, essentially, without reading the whole 27 pages, they're essentially saying if someone is kind of an asshole, right? And you call them an asshole, everyone already knows that. If someone's a bully and you call them a bully and everyone already thinks they're a bully, everyone already thought that anyway. So in this paragraph, they say, The probative value of evidence relating to Lively's reputation far outweighs its potential prejudice. So they're trying to bring in her past, right? The stuff she is oblivious to. She's like, no, girl, I don't know what you're talking about. No one's ever called me a bully before. And they go, okay, hold my beer, because whether you want to admit it or not, which again, I imagine in terms of the court of law, it doesn't matter. I'm not a lawyer, but it doesn't matter if she knew or not. What matters is people were. The topic was already out there. So the probative value of evidence relating to Lively's reputation far outweighs its potential prejudice. Lively next invokes Rule 403 to argue that the articles and similar evidence are more prejudicial than probative. As noted, Lively opened the door to this evidence and made it highly relevant by putting her reputation at issue and forcing defendants to defend the allegations by, amongst other things, showing that they did not cause harm to her already tarnished reputation. A plaintiff's existing reputation is universally recognized as relevant to a claim for reputational harm. For instance, New York's pattern jury instruction, Civil 329, recognizes the importance of a plaintiff's existing reputation in determining the appropriate damages award by instructing that a factor for the jury to consider is the plaintiff's standing in the community. Such evidence is also admissible under the libel proof doctrine, which permits a defendant accused of causing reputational harm to show that the plaintiff is libel proof because of his or her reputation is already so badly tarnished that the plaintiff cannot be further injured by even false statements on the same subject. So your reputation is already bad for being a bully and a mean girl. Can you even be further harmed? I like that. That's really good. Makes sense to me. Holding that the plaintiff's reputation was so badly tarnished that he can suffer no further harm and that no reasonable jury could award more than nominal damages. So it says here, applying the defamation proof plaintiff doctrine and holding that plaintiff's slander claim could not be sustained because the alleged statements did not further impair his reputation in the cases they're citing. By way of example, while labeling a plaintiff as a murderer would ordinarily harm a plaintiff's reputation, calling Jeffrey Dahmer a murderer would not sully his reputation, which included a reputation as a murderer. And then they go here and they put a footnote, which it took me out, absolutely took me out. By using this example, defendants do not mean to compare Miss Lively to Jeffrey Dahmer, but you did, and it was a good one. It was so good. So what they're saying is like, and it makes sense, right? As someone that doesn't really understand the law, also not American, so I don't know the US legal system, but it makes sense to me that, okay, so you write an article about Jeffrey Dahmer being a murderer. If it was some rando that has a squeaky clean past and you're trying to paint them in a bad light so people don't like them and they've never murdered anyone before, well, of course that's going to harm their reputation. But if you do an article or you do like a Netflix series on Dahmer, oof, that was a good Netflix series. But you do a Netflix series on Dahmer and you call him a murderer, well, we all know he was. It's not going to ruin his reputation more. He's already one of the most notorious serial killers. I think that's fantastic. I'm American. I don't know the U.S. legal system. Yeah, it's tough for the everyday person. Blake Lively equals Jeffrey Dahmer. Yes, so good. I love this. We'll get to how Blake's side compared. I can barely even get it out. My voice is like, ugh. Justin to Weinstein. It's just so egregious. But this is so applicable. There needs to be headlines about this. Are there headlines about this? Someone needs to run with this. No, there's not. There needs to be. Legacy media, of course, shitting the bed and not talking about this, but it's true. So it says, articles depicting Lively's pre-existing reputation are not lay opinion. I agree. Lively's final Hail Mary is that articles in similar publications establishing her existing reputation somehow constitute inadmissible lay opinion. Not so. A lay person is someone who testifies based on personal knowledge rather than specialized training. Lay opinion refers to an opinion or inference that a non-expert witness provides during their testimony. Rule 701 allows a lay witness to offer an opinion if 3 conditions are met. The opinion is rationally based on the witness's own perception. It helps the jury understand the testimony or determine a fact and does not rely on scientific, technical, or other specialized knowledge. Allowing lay members of Bloomberg Chat to testify as lay witnesses to their understanding of defendant's meaning in text messages they did not see contemporaneously. Lively does not seek to exclude opinion testimony by a lay witness, but publications that demonstrate the state of Lively's reputation before the alleged smear campaign. Lively urges that there is no fact or expert opinion evidence establishing that Miss Lively carried a negative reputation and public perception prior to August 2024, and that defendants are relying on the existence of negative press without or which constitutes lay opinion. Plaintiff deliberately misses the point. I feel like Blake and Ryan always deliberately miss the point. Someone needs to have a come to Jesus moment with those two. Send them to the farm. I am happy to have a come to Jesus moment with Blake and Ryan. Send them to the farm. It is spring at the farm. I've got piles of shit to muck and wet, soggy straw and hay from shelters that survived a long winter. I will put them to work on the farm, probably their first ever honest day's work, and just have a come to Jesus moment with them. Someone's got to, though. Guys, someone has got to. I think they always deliberately miss the point and contort it into whatever they want that point to be. In contrast to the cases cited by plaintiff, defendant, and her lawyers are no better. Her lawyers lied about me. Like, I have personal experience with dealing with her lawyers because I was subpoenaed. So, her lawyers are no better. So it continues, in contrast to the cases cited by plaintiff, defendants are not offering the articles to prove public perception, but only to compare her pre and post reputation to show whether the alleged smear campaign had a negative or indeed any effect on Lively's reputation. If not, Lively's claim for reputational harm damages fail. Defendants do not intend to call any witnesses to offer an opinion on public perception. The question is not whether the public perceived that Lively was a mean girl, bully, or tone deaf, but whether these allegations were widely circulated before Lively encountered Wayfarer. That is not a lay opinion. Makes sense. Let's find Nice Pool. So that's 14. Okay. I want to back up before we get into Nice Pool because remember we talked about, do you have pigs? No, we don't have pet pig, we did have one at one point, and he went to someone that has other pigs because we don't have the space for pigs, and they dig up everything. They destroy land. So we helped with the rescue of one, and then he went to live with a friend of ours that has more space, and she had another rescue pig. But no, not on property. We have rescue horses, goats. We have special needs chickens. We have rescue sheep. Those are the animals that we have. The sheepies are my personal favorite. I love sheep. They're so sweet. They're like terrified of you. They're not snuggly at all, and you wish they were, but they're my personal favorite. Okay, so when we look at Nice Pool, I had said, I think on a video last week, this is one of the most important pieces for me. It's one of the most important pieces because as someone that works in the industry, I personally believe, and I can't remember now the timeline. I can't remember the timeline on when people were hired and all. There's just so much from this case. But if I was Justin and Wayfarer, the second Nice Pool came into the conversation, I would have had crisis PR. The second, because they had the audacity to smear him, make fun of him, and then violently murder him in an international billion-dollar blockbuster with their childish Easter eggs. And I don't care what any Swiftie says. T-Swift knew this shit. She knew the Easter eggs were in there. She was in on it. She had celebrated Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool and Wolverine in her Instagram story. She gave them a shout out. These three are thick as thieves, the three of them together. I'm sorry. But the moment I would have, if that was me, or if I was just like the regular PR for Justin and Wayfarer, the moment, yeah, T-Swift is just as bad. audacity. I love when you say that word. We need some merch with it. The moment they had the audacity to make fun of me, just like, and so obviously, and murder me violently in front of a flower shop in an international blockbuster. If I was a regular PR for someone, I'd be like, you need crisis PR because this is going to get worse. This is going to get worse. I think that's when they should have started thinking. And maybe they did, right? Start thinking then of like, ooh. And I think that's what they're saying here. We'll read this together. I haven't read this part in full. But that, yeah, that's a good point. How does Hugh Jackman get along with those three? I'd like to know. I would like to know. That's a great question. So for me, Nice Pool is a critical piece of this whole conversation. And I think the jury needs to see this. Because as someone that understands reputation and someone that understands like how you start to shape these narratives, for me, that's when they were starting to shape this narrative. They're starting to plant the seeds. And then they plant, or Easter eggs, as Taylor calls them. And then they're putting more by not allowing him to be in any marketing. They're not allowing him on the red carpet with anyone, which is Ryan's playbook as well. That's what he's done in Deadpool. You don't let them on the red carpet. He didn't let the creator of Deadpool on the red carpet. Well, he let him on the red carpet, just not in pictures with the cast. Miranda wasn't allowed in pictures with the cast. This is Ryan and Blake's playbook. This is what they do. Right? But it's not bullying to them. They don't see it as bullying. I honestly think they see it as like, that's just how things are. You just squash people. This is why I'm getting out of that field, by the way, because the cuckoos that you deal with is just, it's like talking to a brick wall. You're like, no, this is not normal human behavior. You're like, what do you mean? This is just what we do. But it would have been Nice Pool where for me, you had to start getting ready that something big was coming because they had the audacity to come at you in an international blockbuster. And it was Ryan and Blake Blake's body double acting it out, but the two of them making fun of you in an international blockbuster. Yes, hit the like. Hello, guys. So this to me, the jury needs to see Nice Pool. The jury needs to understand this is why we needed crisis PR. This is why. Not because we were retaliating, because she complained about shit on the set. That's not why. We were just trying to get this movie out. We were trying to be done with her. We were trying to get her out of our damn lives. I feel like at this point, they're like, just please, Jesus, let us get to the end of this and finish this and never talk to Blake and Ryan again. They just wanted to get to the end. Then we see this. And it's things like this that told us we needed crisis PR. And to me, there's no question about whether this should be allowed in. I think it's a massive misstep if the judge doesn't let Nice Pool in. I think it'll be really detrimental to Justin's case. Again, not because I understand the legal side necessarily, but because from a PR perspective, this would be alarm bells for me. So opposition to plaintiff motion in limine number 3, Ryan Reynolds' creation of the Nice Pool and Lady Pool scenes to publicly shame Baldoni and Deadpool and Wolverine is relevant to Wayfair's motive for engaging a crisis manager. Exactly. So Nice Pool was a character created by Lively's husband, Ryan Reynolds, for the highly successful film Deadpool and Wolverine. I think this also shows when you, and I'm just thinking for the average person, right, on the jury, because it's common folk like this, common ass people that are going to be on the jury. It starts to show how much power they had as well, I imagine. Like, this isn't some no-name actress. This is freaking Blake and Ryan. You're not just up against Blake Lively. And I think that's something they have to keep in mind is when you're looking at the smear campaign that Blake and Ryan are alleging you started and employing crisis PR, this isn't just against Blake Lively. This is Ryan Reynolds. I would actually use her little cutesy post that she posted as evidence where she's like, Ryan says I hung the moon and I'm praising him because he always runs home to us, which is funny because Taylor then used that as kind of a lyric in her song. But anyway, I would use that against them. I would use her evidence of look at all these social media posts of how cute we are and we're so in love against them. Yeah, man. This is why we needed crisis PR, because we weren't just up against the Gossip Girl's Blake Lively that everyone forgot about. We weren't up against her. We were up against her and Ryan Reynolds. Look at these posts she just showed you as evidence. So we were up against both of them. They're so tone deaf, the both of them. They're so dumb. God, Ryan and Blake, just take responsibility for crying out loud. You overplayed your hand, all right? Your playbook was exposed. People got tired of your shit. You did it on Deadpool and Wolverine on the red carpet there, and then right away, and it ends with us. It wasn't just the hair care. It wasn't just Ryle, you ate alcohol. People got tired of your shit, and it was just back to back so much for both of y'all that it was impossible to not see it. How do you not see it? So anyway, I think it's really important to talk about reputationally, because they keep wanting to say Sarowitz and his billions of dollars. All right, you're Ryan Reynolds. All right, billions of dollars mean nothing when you're Ryan Reynolds in the industry. I'm sorry. What? It doesn't matter, because you make a phone. Now I'm just on a rant, but you make a phone call, Ryan, to Ari Emanuel, and Justin's fired. You make calls and he loses awards. So obviously billions of dollars mean shit when you're up against Ryan Reynolds and the connections you have. So they just need to shove it, the two of them. But anyway, the film was released in July 2024. So this is Deadpool and Wolverine on the cusp of the media frenzy over the Lively Baldoni dispute. Nicepool was a thinly, disguised caricature of Baldoni who is skewered for his niceness and advocacy of women. Reynolds plays Nicepool, a Deadpool variant with a man bun, and lively voices. Sorry, guys. We did over 2 hour. I think it was over 2 hour members only yesterday. I'm losing my voice. No day off this week. And lively voices Ladypool. In one scene, Nicepool appears before a flower shop, an obvious reference to Lively's character, Lily Bloom, who is a florist in It Ends With Us. Ladypool shoots Nicepool multiple times in front of the flower shop, and his head is eventually blown off. In another scene, Reynolds and Lively take a jab at Baldoni when Nicepool assures Deadpool, "It's okay, I identify as a feminist." Another insult to Baldoni occurs when Deadpool yells in a very out-of-context outburst, "Where in God's name is the intimacy coordinator?" This is an obvious reference to Lively's allegation that Baldoni had improvised physical intimacy that had not been rehearsed, choreographed, or discussed with her, with no intimacy coordinator involved. It is impossible to watch the Nicepool segment of Deadpool and Wolverine and not understand why Baldoni and Wayfarer felt besieged in July 2024 and were compelled to bring a crisis management team. See, that's what I'm saying. I hadn't read this in full. I'd seen other people summarize it. That's what I'm saying. There's no way the jury can't see this. I will drop dead. Y'all will have, like, if I stop showing up, it's because I was hospitalized or drop dead on the spot if the judge keeps Nicepool out. You can't keep Nicepool out. How do you explain the gravity of the situation? Because like I said, it hits 2 points. One, we knew that they were up to shit. They're stirring the pot. But then number two, it proves you're up against both of them. So it's no longer, because she's going to come across as very, like, probably daft, but I'm sure she'll pretend to be sweet on the stand. And she's, young mother. I've got young kids. I just had a baby, right? Like, and that can sway jurors. That can make her look more empathetic in the minds of jurors. But when you start to look at it, it's like, well, it wasn't retaliation. We're protecting ourselves. And we're not just protecting ourselves from Blake. We're protecting ourselves from Ryan. Look at the connections he has. Friggin' Ari Emanuel comes out with an article and is like, I'm the ride or die. Blake and Ryan, you want to compare Justin to Weinstein? What about the fact that Ari Emanuel ruined many careers? Wesley Snipes, Terry Crews, two of which, interestingly, both very successful Black men. Plantation Wedding, Antebellum South thing, blog thing Blake had going. Maybe a connection between all you merry band of psychos in Hollywood. I'm so sick of these people. I'm just so But not just sick of these people. I'm sick of Hollywood. This is why I'm out of it, man. This is why I'm so tired. I don't even entertain anymore options to take on clients for this type of, like, I don't want to. I don't want to be involved in this shit. Keep your filth away from me. And it's why, like, Trust Me, I'm Lying is one of my favorite books by one of my favorite PR peeps. And he quite literally wrote the playbook in many ways. Great book. We're reading it in the members only for YouTube. But he left. He like picked up a spiritual journey. He's like, peace out. He tried to expose the playbook, try to expose what goes on in Hollywood. And literally PR people were just stealing the sketchy shit he had done. We're just stealing his playbook and applying it to their clients. And he was like, I'm done. Peace out. Peace. So anyway, it says here, Baldoni and what I meant by that is like, this isn't exclusive to these two. It's just a cesspool, Hollywood. It needs to go. So it continues, Baldoni and Wayfarer's motive for engaging a crisis manager to plan a defensive public relations strategy is directly relevant to defeat Lively's core claim that defendants were acting in retaliation for her complaints of sexual harassment over a year earlier. Nevertheless, or perhaps precisely this reason, plaintiff seeks to exclude this very public attack on Baldoni and Wayfarer on the grounds that this court has already found the footage irrelevant and therefore the law of the case doctrine mandates its preclusion. Plaintiff glosses over both the fact that the court's findings related to the malice event or element of a now dismissed defamation claim against Reynolds, not Lively's claims against the Wayfarer defendants, and that application of the law of the case doctrine, even if it is applicable, is discretionary. All right, what else do they say? They get into the net worth. I think they even get into the okay, so they even get into we have to bring in the community note. Like we have to bring in, it goes into how truthful these psychos are, right? Like Blake Lively keeps changing her stories, but her lawyers keep changing their stories too. No one can keep their facts straight over there. I love this part. So opposition to plaintiff's motion in Eliminate number 7, defendants should be allowed to introduce Lively's own statements for impeachment purposes and to show the common practice of using public relations statements by the parties and their counsel to shape public opinion. Lively seeks to exclude her public statements and those of her counsel relating to the case release in response to the court's ruling on defendants' dismiss or dispositive motions. In the first instance, these public statements by Lively's counsel, Mike Gottlieb and Sigrid McCauley, a lawyer apparently engaged to handle public relations. Yeah, I'm glad they put that in because that's exactly what we've said on the channel from the beginning. Sigrid was called in and she is there strictly for public relations, period. They were trying to get the connection because even though if you really dig into her, there is sketchy shit between her and the Epstein victims. But they're trying to piggyback, right? They're trying to piggyback on like she's an advocate for women and she defends women. So they brought her on for PR and optics. So good on Justin's team for calling that out because that's exactly what it is. So they say that these statements by Gottlieb and McCauley are crafted to sway public opinion in Lively's favor and may have the effect of tainting the jury pool. The opening sentence in Mr. Gottlieb's official statement is a gratuitous swipe at Wayfarer's counsel. It is completely unsurprising that Brian Freeman does not understand the court's actual ruling. He didn't even argue the summary judgment motion he's now spinning. Had to bring in another law firm for the trial and just last week was reprimanded by the court for having filed legally frivolous claims. This is like, I'm going to use an example that you'll only get if you have chickens and roosters. But this is like that one rooster that's just an asshole. And so you like separate them from everyone. Like we have a bachelor pad, but sometimes they have to get a timeout. And you let the little shit out and he like immediately runs and attacks everyone. This is Gottlieb. Gottlieb is like the little douchebag rooster that keeps getting a timeout and can't help but go and immediately attack everyone. Like he just can't wait to be a child. He can't wait to take personal attacks. That was his opening sentence and his official statement. Not about victims, not about protecting women, No, he takes a swipe at Wayfarer. He takes a swipe at Brian Friedman. That's what he does. Unbelievable. And now Blake's side wants to keep it out, obviously, because it looks bad. Gottlieb further states that the fact that Brian Friedman is claiming exoneration based on legal technicalities while facing trial next month tells you everything you need to know. Where did these people go to law school? I feel like I have more knowledge of the law than Ezra and Gottlieb, and I went to Emily D. Baker School of Law, YouTube Law. Who behaves like this? Did Ryan write this, Gottlieb, and you have no spine, you have no backbone that you just signed off on it? Ryan wrote it for you. Like he writes statements for everyone, like he did for TJ Miller, like he did for Wayfarer and Justin. He just wrote a statement. He's like, who signs your checks, Gottlieb? And you're like, okay, Ryan, whatever you want. Whatever you want, Ryan. Just send it to me and I'll put it out with my name on it. Get a spine. This is disgusting. And it makes the whole profession look bad. So he just continues taking swipes at Brian Friedman in the statement. Lively reposted Gottlieb's statement on her own Instagram. A community note on Instagram attempts to correct the statements in Lively's release by advising Instagram users that Gottlieb's statement contains cherry-picked information from the federal judge's ruling, which actually threw out 10 of 13 of Blake's claims, the core one being sexual harassment. The judge found that many of her claims of sexual harassment also did not rise to that level, and that the behavior in question was part of a normal improvisation expected for that kind of scene. This post also ignores the fact that Blake had in fact kissed Justin Baldoni without his consent. And so Blake and co are big mad. Yeah, no one on Lively's side has an ounce of integrity and professionalism at all. At all. I genuinely believe Ryan wrote this statement for Gottlieb, and he has no spine, no morals, no ethics. It was like, sure, Ryan, whatever you want. Disgusting. It continues, in any event, the press release of Lively and her surrogates are relevant in that they demonstrate the common practice of using public relations statements by parties and their counsel to shape public opinion. The very conduct that is a predicate of Lively's retaliation claims. The aftermath of the statements also demonstrates how such material spreads on the internet organically with no interference or manipulation. That's what we've said on the channel. All of you guys have said, not just me, the whole community has said here. Like, this shit spreads naturally in today's landscape. Like, it just is the way of the world in how the internet works now. It just spreads organically. The sleuth, they pick up things, they see things. They notice that Justin wasn't on the red carpet. They noticed Nice Pool. They noticed the swipes at him, that he wasn't included in any of the marketing. And people be peopling. They be looking. They be digging. And they're like, oh yeah, Blake accused a makeup artist of sexual harassment before because he put lipstick on her with his finger. And, she made Penn Badgley the pariah on the set of Gossip Girl just because she didn't like him, and she turned everyone against him. She turned the cast against him. Oh my God, the plantation wedding. I'm going to be honest with y'all. They were so little on my blip. Like, Ryan, previously, I did like some of the stuff he'd done. I didn't have anything bad to say about Ryan. I liked the first Deadpool a lot. And, overall, I was like, yeah, cool guy. He does a lot at Sick Kids in Toronto. I knew so little about them that I didn't know about the plantation wedding until I started looking into them. But that was from my own digging. And then, of course, the internet also did that. Other people also did that. But a lot of the shit that came out, I didn't know about until the New York Times article. And I got interested in the case. And let me know if that's true for you guys too. Then I started digging into them. I started looking into all of this more. I didn't even know who Justin was. I thought Wayfarer was a fucking furniture company that was being accused of trafficking. All right. I was down the child trafficking. Oh God, this video is going to be buried. Rabbit hole for Wayfarer. Does anyone remember that? By the way, the Wayfarer furniture company where there was like all of these, like, I don't know if it's conspiracy theories or there was truth to it, but this like underground trafficking thing. When this lawsuit first came, I couldn't figure out why Blake Lively was suing that company. That's how little I knew about them. And so for her to really think that this is Not organic. This is how the internet works now. People get curious, they start digging, and then it travels like wildfire. You don't need a coordinated smear campaign in today's day and age. Maybe have a couple sock puppet accounts in Reddit. Taylor Swift is like the bot queen. She's a bot queen. You know, you can have some bots that are like pumping up your narrative, but you don't really need the same effect. You don't need billions of dollars is what I'm saying. Like they keep saying Steve Sarowitz, billions of dollars. You don't need billions of dollars in today's day and age. Like to me, when we look at the ability for smear campaigns to pick up so organically now, money, whether you're comparing 400 million of Ryan and Blake versus $1 billion for Steve Sarowitz, okay. Because the people are going to do the people things these days. All right. So it says, most importantly, the statements provide material to examine and impeach Lively at trial. So for instance, Lively both directly and through her counsel makes statements about the facts of the case and her subjective beliefs. To the extent Lively provides inconsistent testimony at trial, her public statements are properly used for impeachment. Gottlieb's press release also downplays Lively's now dismissed claims by stating that the retaliation Miss Lively faced for privately speaking up for a safe working environment has always been the beating heart of her case. It is why she filed her lawsuit. We have a reel on that over on Instagram. Defense should be allowed to examine Lively on the notion that the sexual harassment claim she has most avidly pursued and publicized were not really so important after all. Lively's statements provide more legitimate fodder for examination. Lively asserts that physical pain and abuse from digital violence is a threat to women and children. Hudson Declaration Exhibit 24. The statement includes vague and unsupported statistics, such as purported studies that estimate that between 16 and 58%. That's a big of women have experienced online abuse or stalking, with 97% of gender-based violence. Service providers reported technology-facilitated abuse in their cases. And then says that these issues, which have not been previously raised by Lively or her experts, will be the heart of the case she intends to bring at trial. So she's like, surprise! JKing! It had nothing to do with sexual harassment at all. JKing! I just don't like that you call me a meme girl and bully. That's harassment. Taking Lively at her word, defendants have every right to examine or at the very least impeach Lively with her statements and those of her surrogates. They also want to present the testimony of Kirsty Flaw. I love that. To respond to plaintiff's expert in trial argument that defendants were responsible for boosting the insensitive little bump interview with Lively. Or boosting. I don't know how she would be able to speak to it not being boosted, to be honest. Okay, I'm just going to read this and then I'm just going to think out loud because I don't think she can speak to it not having been boosted. But let's have a look. Defendant's witness list includes entertainment reporter Kirsty Flaw, who will testify about her interview of Lively and Flaw's republication of an interview in 2024. The 2016 interview went viral as a result of Lively's derogatory little bump comment to Flaw. Lively was visibly pregnant at the time of the interview. When Flaw noted Lively's little bump, Lively flashed back with a nasty comment on Flaw's little bump. Flaw, however, was not pregnant, was highly offended, and made her extreme displeasure known in her posts. The remark, coupled with Lively's huffy demeanor, provoked substantial public criticism of Lively's mean girl attitude and insensitive, tone-deaf response to Flaw's comment. Lively has cited the August 2024 resurgence of the Flaw Little Bump interview as evidence of defendants' alleged efforts to seed the internet with negative stories, implying that defendant and their counsel were behind the reputation and or amplification. Lively's own online manipulation expert, Aaron Collada, mentions the Little Bump video interview 43 times in his expert report. Holy cow. He mentions Flaw by name 10 times. Oh my goodness. Collada's entire YouTube opinion is based solely on the Little Bump video. Well, then how do you not have her there? I'm sorry, but you can't keep her out, not allow her to testify, and then have this person mention the video 43 times. That's insane. In addition, Lively's second amended complaint cites articles regarding the Little Bump video to support her allegation that nearly decade-old interviews of Miss Lively were surfaced, commenting on her tone, posture, and language, implying that defendants were somehow responsible. Nevertheless, Lively seeks to exclude Flaw's testimony and evidence relating to the interview. Okay, so they talk about why she doesn't want it in. So it says Flaw will testify that defendants were not in any way involved in her decision to republish a Little Bump interview in or about August 2024. And in fact, that she never had contact with the Wayfarer defendants or counsel or their representatives. She will explain that after seeing stories about a rift between Lively and Baldoni that surfaced in the July to August 2024 framework, she made the spontaneous decision to contribute her own negative experience with Lively to the conversation, and that the story went viral organically, not because of any influence exerted by the Wayfarer defendants or their representatives. So it says it provides her testimony evidence that is highly relevant to two aspects of Wayfarer's defense, and that it will show Lively's pre-existing reputation, that her mean girl, tone-deaf reputation was attributed to Lively's own high-handed conduct, and that Wayfarer and its representatives were not involved in spreading or encouraging the Little Bump story that contributed to negative reputation. So I will say I don't understand how how Kirsty could say, no, they didn't even boost it. Because she's not going to be able to say, no, everyone on my channel is a real human. Everyone leaving a comment, everyone sharing, everyone liking is a real human. So I don't know, because there's ways to boost that the person doesn't have to be involved in, right? Like you can go, I'm not saying this is what happened, but you can go and have like mass bot accounts liking, sharing, commenting on something, and that is going to boost it in the algorithm, because YouTube even takes, like if you go to a video and you hit the share button, that contributes to the channel as well, and it contributes to the video as well. And the reality is she's not going to be able to speak to that. So like from a PR perspective, she's not gonna be able to speak to that, but she can definitely speak to the fact that no one contacted her and told her to publish it. She can definitely speak to the fact of like, she was a mean girl bully to me, but she's not going to be able to speak to the fact that like everyone that's ever shared or commented or liked that video is a real human person. But that's just not real life. Because she does, like, I don't know. Some of y'all might be bots. How do I know? You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So from a PR perspective, there are ways to boost things that the original person isn't going to know about. But she absolutely can say like, no, I posted this. No one contacted me. I posted this. She was kind of an asshole to me. And I saw all of this come out about her. I knew I had the video. It's smart, right? To get your channel out there. It's smart to ride a viral wave like that. It was smart of her to post it. And it went viral. So that's my thoughts on that. Hello. Feel the Little Bump video was extra offensive because Blake had the power to end the interview if she was so offending. That's a good point. She stayed and mean girled Flaw to embarrass and harass her. She's so gross. That's a great point. She could have just been like, nah. Which also I think goes to the whole Wayfarer situation as well, right? Like she had the power to just, no, sorry, she didn't even sign her contract. Sorry, I'm not continuing. But she would rather just harass people and attack people and belittle people. It's just wild. It's just wild. I couldn't spend a day in Blake's head. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. I genuinely don't know where they're going, saying that Kirsty could say that wasn't boosted because she can't, but she can definitely say that, you know, I put it up and no one told me to put it up. And these thoughts were my own. Okay. So we're going to flip over to, actually, let's go to Not Actually Golden. She has a 2-part video. We'll watch a portion of the second video, which I thought was really interesting. Well, I think all of her stuff is interesting, but I really want to highlight it here. And then we will go over to Blake's team calling Justin Harvey Weinstein, which is just wild. And then we'll get over to Isabella because we finally get to see some of her and what she has to say. Before we get over there, though, I don't have sponsors, but I do run a branding business. And I created something specifically for the channel because what I started to notice was I was getting a lot of questions or tags from other content creators, from community members, from those that just found my channel. And they're like, Ashley, what does the cookies have to do? Like, cookies is SEO manipulation, right? And I see SEO manipulation come up a lot, and people are connecting pieces that aren't there. And sometimes when we are in the muck of it, and it's, you know, what a lot of people just don't like my channel for, because I can zoom out and look at it from like a PR lens. But when we're in the muck of it, we're putting pieces together that don't exist instead of actually seeing the pieces that do. So I had put something together, and it was by popular demand. I was getting asked about this a lot of like, can you teach more of how you actually see things and how you actually put things together? And yes, I can. And so I put it into an offer, and I'll drop the link here to check it out. It's only $47, and all proceeds go to the Farm Animal Sanctuary and helping with spring bills around the farm. It's always spring bills around the farm, unless Blake and Ryan want to come and help with cleaning and donate some money to the Farm Animal Sanctuary. So all proceeds go to that. It's called the Narrative Autopsy Field Kit. Learn the DOA framework, how to detect, observe, and analyze so you can stop being manipulated. So it is $47 until the modules start dropping on the 27th. So I'm recording all 8 modules next week. On the 27th, the modules go live, and you have a really nice Kajabi course platform to host the modules for you. So it'll be $97 on April 27th. But I'm really excited about it, and it'll help you guys where you can pin the chat. I don't even know how to pin. Do I? I'm putting myself in timeout. I just put myself in timeout. Technology. But it's going to be fantastic. In the way I thought about it and the way I put it together for you guys is it's to get you thinking like an analyst, like a media analyst. And even if you're in the muck of something, can we see something such as like the cookies, right? The Taylor Swift cookies, for what it is. Like, what is the real play here? Because I was seeing all kinds of things, like Blake's trying to bury Isabella with the cookie and spoon thing, which is definitely not what it was. All these weird conspiracy theories were going around. And I'm like, that's not it. Like, those stories aren't even trending. There's no reputational damage from that. Like, there's literally no PR play from that. So it was stuff like that that really got me thinking and came up with a solution, because I get this question a lot. So module 1 will be how narratives are built. Module 2 is advertising and branding manipulation. Module 3 is cult mechanics. Module 4 is political and institutional tactics. Number 5 is crisis mode. So what happens when, the PR crisis team's brought in. 6 is the internet distortion machine. So virality, algorithms, and outrage for profit. 7, the calibration test. So is it manipulation or am I seeing things? 8 is build it clean. So there's 9 modules. I added one. I always add extra. If you are building a personal brand, a YouTube channel, a podcast, coaching business, how do you build it clean without manipulation? And 9 is spot the good guys, who deserves your trust. Because one of the things I hear on the channel a lot too is like, well, all marketing's bad. It's all manipulation. All branding's manipulation. No, it's literally not. It can definitely be with great power. Oh, my dog almost knocked over my entire desk. Sorry about that, guys. It can absolutely be with great power comes great responsibility. But it's not, and you can use it ethically. So anyway, guys, doing my own ad spot, because we don't have sponsors of the channel, and it's $47. I dropped the link in the show notes, and I'll put the link in a pinned comment after the video as well. But it's going to be, I don't think there's honestly anything like that out there at all. It's going to be fantastic. If you enjoy my free content, if you enjoy what I do on the channel, you're absolutely going to love it. Okay. Let's go over to TikTok next. We'll listen to Not Actually Golden. And then we'll get over to Weinstein. Because what? Okay. So it was part 2 that I was looking for. So it's 2 parts. The first one, motions and limine responses, part 1. Motions and limine responses, part 2. We're going to
Part 2. You found that on her own.
because it is 9 minutes. So we'll skip ahead a little bit. And she brought up some points where I thought, oh, shit, I didn't think of that. And oh my goodness, this is Blake's play. This is what Blake's going to do. So let's listen together.
That no one asked her to, that she never was contacted by a defendant or a content creator or anybody, she needs to be able to testify to that. And I don't think that Lively is going to be able to keep that out. I think that the gray area is, can she testify about anything else? Can she then say, oh, also, everybody on my page hates Blake Lively and I know they're all real people, right? Does she devolve? And I think that's kind of the sort of thing that you handle when you get to trial. So a lot of the Wayfarer arguments are things that you can kick the can down the road to trial. If this happens, we want to be able to argue this. If she puts this evidence in, we want to be able to put in evidence to the contrary. So I think a lot of those can probably be pushed down the road to some degree. Now, on the Lively side, it is very important for her case, it appears, for her to be able to argue this preventative retaliation thing, which I have never dealt with before. It's a FEHA thing. California is bananas. And I've asked LGA to help me understand it. But this argument that they retaliated because they were afraid that I might tell everybody that they sexually harassed me, and that would hurt their reputation as feminists. And if you want a precursor of what cross-examination is going to look like, this is what they're going to do with Baldoni and Heath. It was wholly inconsistent with the behavior of these faith-centric, accountable, and thoughtful allies that they purported to be. That's what they're going to do to them. They're going to go up there and say, you pretend to be this, and you pretend to care about women, you pretend to do this, but that's all a load of shit. I'd be real careful about that faith-centric stuff. That can backfire on you. The stuff about the other women testifying is the stuff that really kind of bothers me. So Lively is arguing really hard in multiple ways that she should be allowed to have Jenny Slate, Isabella Ferrer, Colleen Hoover, Claire Ayub, Alex Sachs all testify about what they experienced with Baldoni and Heath. And, the argument against that usually is, well, that's propensity evidence, right? It's other bad acts. Just because somebody was rude to somebody once doesn't mean that they were rude this time. But the way that she frames this, again, this is insight into her theme. She calls this Me Too evidence. This is Me Too evidence. And she talks about cases allow Me Too witnesses. They're going to frame this thing as a Me Too case. I'm just telling you right now. But this is the part that jumped off the page at me. They argue about how all these women should be allowed to come in and testify because it goes to her reasonable belief. And I think it's probably likely that the judge will allow Slate and Ferrer, but not the others. Like if it was on the set, maybe. But here's the part that's crazy to me. Multiple times she makes this argument of these people also need to testify because these women experience collateral online hate. And then look down here. She is also Isabella Ferrer has firsthand knowledge of the public hate. Does she though? And how that backlash collaterally affected herself and other women. So now she is arguing, this is for the first time, that this smear campaign not only hurt her, it hurt others. And that I think is a bad argument. I don't know that she's even going to be allowed to make it, but I think if you don't like her, let her make it, because I don't think a jury will like it. I don't get it. I don't understand what she's trying. So I could see the judge saying, so are they plaintiffs here? What am I missing? So this is going to be very hotly contested. And she makes this argument that we need the evidence of these other women because this gendered pattern is very relevant. And that is exactly what Rule 404 is about. You don't get to show a gendered pattern in a case that isn't about gender discrimination, right? That just to me is crazy. This is exactly what these rules are for, because you say, oh, it's necessary to show I had a reasonable belief. But what the jury's going to see is they're going to look at that and be like, God, I guess these guys really are creeps. And then they're not going to like them. And then they're going to rule against them, right? With the stuff about, one of the things that Lively really wants in is all the comments that Heath and Baldoni made, in the book and on their podcast about how they used to be. I used to take it too far with women. I was addicted to porn, all those things. And she says, oh, I need those to show that if I had complained about sexual harassment, it would have really hurt their image. And maybe there's something in there that's usable, but there is no question that will prejudice the jury to think, oh my God, I can never find, even if I don't think there's evidence that they did anything wrong, I now have it in my mind that this guy's a rapist, right? Like that is what unfair prejudice is all about. The evidence about Nathan and Wallace's other clients, I think she wants it. I don't think she needs it. It's really about the credibility of Wallace and Nathan. Both Wallace and Nathan have credibility issues because they have testified about what they did. And apparently Katie Case has testified that that's not true. And so there is a credibility issue there. So that she's probably going to get some latitude. As to whether she needs to name those people, I don't know. I feel personally that, mentioning that Melissa Nathan once represented Johnny Depp, okay, fine. These other cases, though, that have been filed against Wayfarer, like the race discrimination one, whatever, that to me is absolutely fucking bonkers. I cannot believe that Ezra Hudson, an employment lawyer, would put her name on that. That is like, the fact that someone has been sued means nothing. That is like, you cannot hold it against someone that they've been arrested if they've never been convicted, because people are innocent until they're proven guilty, and an arrest means nothing, particularly if you have dark skin. So the fact that they're trying to bring up like every bad thing, I just don't think they're going to get all of it. And then she really, really needs that Ayub recording. Like I've said, I don't think Ayub's testimony really matters, but she really, really needs that recording.
So she was saying in, I think it was part 1, that the Claire Ayub recording is critically important because that's basically the only thing she has of it coming from one of the Wayfarer parties of, yeah, we have to do this or we have to retaliate or whatever. Like there's nothing. What we have for Justin is don't, like, are you using bots? Like, I don't want you using bots. Like Justin's continuing to remind them, I don't want these kinds of things done. So Not Actually Golden was saying she really needs that Claire Ayub recording in, which I don't know how you get something like that in when it was I guess allegedly illegally recorded. I don't know if we ever knew for sure or it came out for sure if it was or not. But she says that's one of the most important pieces for Blake to get in. All right. So with that said, I thought it was just really interesting. And I wanted to share the piece where she talks about like it being a Me Too. Blake's going to try and Me Too this trial. I almost wonder if that is more of a PR move, to be honest. Or if she gets away with it, if it'll be, beneficial for both. Because then she gets that headline of like, I fought for everyone. I fought for all women on set. I fought for Isabella. I fought for Jenny. I fought for everyone. And she probably wants those headlines. So I wonder if that is as much a PR decision as it is legal. I wouldn't be surprised. All right. And then it's like extra, right? It's the bad kind. It's like rotten guac extra. Like if you get guac and it's rotten, you paid extra for it, but it's rotten as shit. Like you can't eat that. It's disgusting. So I do wonder if going that route and using it both as a legal strategy and a PR strategy will also be the thing that kind of bites her in the ass over everything. It's like, girl, like you haven't even proven anything for yourself. Stop moving the ball. And it just makes her look crazier. In my opinion, it kind of does. Okay. Next, let's look at, we're going to do Isabella last. We got to look at how they're comparing Justin to Weinstein. Okay. So we have Blake comparing Justin to Weinstein, Justin's side comparing her to Dahmer. I don't think I've ever seen legal filings like this. I mean, we are just in, it's just wild. This case it just doesn't end. And I don't think it's going to end with a trial, guys. I think Blake will go on her tour speaking to everyone. I don't think it's going to end with the trial. And I think WWE, etc., will continue to support Ryan and Blake, unfortunately. So this is one of Blake's experts. Let me just double check again in regards to what, just so I can give you guys most accurate information. So this is a workplace harassment expert serving as an expert witness for Blake. Okay. Buckle up, guys. Make sure you're sitting down and hydrated, because I almost fell over when I saw this. So it starts out talking about how this kind of smear campaign is really unique to Hollywood, essentially, and saying, doesn't it really exist the same way in other industries? How you can damage someone's reputation like this. And it said, the question is, so you think it's harder to recover from reputational damage, correct? And the witness goes, harder to recover. And the question, what is your opinion with respect to why don't you try to articulate it? Because I'm having a hard time with it. Answer, sure. So unlike other industries, in the entertainment industry, there are people who, because of either of great influence or power or money, can either destroy people's careers or can attempt to destroy people's careers. And that does not exist otherwise. And so examples are, of course, Weinstein. He's comparing Justin and Steve Sarowitz and co. to Weinstein. Question, right. And you give the example of Weinstein. Are you analogizing Justin Baldoni to Harvey Weinstein? The witness, only in an attempt to try to destroy people's careers. But in terms of the amount of influence, no. In terms of the amount of money available, maybe yes. Because Mr. Sarowitz was financing a lot of this, and he's apparently a billionaire or something like that. Okay, the fact that he goes, apparently a billionaire or something like that. I was joking yesterday on the Members Only Live. I said, the experts had a bingo card, guys. Ryan and Blake created a bingo card, and they were like, okay, during your testimony, you have to mention like a nefarious character and link Justin to that person. You have to mention Steve Sarowitz. You have to mention Steve Sarowitz is a billionaire. And they had these bingo cards, and these people, these experts, had perfected in their head, okay, I've got to hit this, got to hit that talking point, and this one, and that one. And he adds it in as apparently a billionaire or something. So, of course, in this, they have to take a shot at Steve Sarowitz because he's apparently a billionaire or something. Okay. It doesn't take $1 billion to ruin someone's reputation. It doesn't even take 400 million these days that Blake and Ryan have. No, y'all are bankrupting yourself in court, Blake and Ryan, over a bunch of bullshit because you took over someone's movie because you didn't like Justin. You didn't think he was good enough because you thought the Cafe Gratitude was weird because they were different. He was different than you. So you were like, I don't like you. I'm going to take over your movie. And now you just won't give up. You're like a dog with a bone, and you just won't give up, and you're destroying your own careers in the process. And everyone around you is, well, other than Taylor, because I mean, the Swifties will always protect Taylor, so she'll be just fine regardless of how involved she was. You're just dragging everyone, like the ship is going down. And you're still taking shots at Steve Sarowitz being a billionaire when it does not take $1 billion to destroy someone's reputation if you're going to do a smear campaign. His income literally has nothing to do with it. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. I just feel like everyone had this script that they had to go by. Ryan Reynolds wrote the script, just like he wrote the statement for Gottlieb, just like he wrote the statement for TJ Miller and Justin Baldoni, allegedly my opinion only on most of this, of course. And everyone just had to fall in line. Just like the expert that was saying Blake Lively has PTSD and polyvictimization and institutional trauma without even ever seeing Blake Lively. These are the types of experts Blake has. They even never see her. Oh. And then the question, does Mr. Baldoni have the same influence that Mr. Weinstein had? The witness, no. Now, yes. It's like, damn it. What did my script say? What did Ryan tell me to say? That he's supposed to have the same influence as Weinstein or not the same influence? He's getting tripped up. It is a lot to remember, guys. It is a lot to remember for these witnesses. What did Ryan tell me to say? So the witness goes, now, no, now, yes, but then no. Now he has more influence than Mr. Weinstein has. Mr. Weinstein has none right now, but at the time, no. Question. All right. And Mr. Baldoni didn't have as much influence in the industry, in the Hollywood industry, than Mr. Reynolds, correct? There's an objection. The witness, I think that's probably true. But also, unlike Weinstein, the way you can try to influence people has changed dramatically. And certainly compared to Alfred Hitchcock, for example, or T.B. Hedren, because now you have social media. Guys, Alfred Hitchcock is catching strays in this. This is insane to me. What is happening? That largely didn't exist then. And with enough money, you can do things that you couldn't do before, even if you have less influence, as long as you've got the money. Question. And does Mr. Reynolds have money? The witness, I'm sorry. Sure, he does. Question. Okay, a lot of money, right? The witness, I don't know details, but a lot of money. Question. All right. After the film wrapped, Lively told Sony that she would not agree to promote the film unless she was permitted to participate in the edit. Isn't that right? Answer, or something to that effect, yes. And then it ends there. Yes. And this is why Blake and Ryan's money has everything to do with everything. Why are you allowed to take shots at Steve Sarwitz and how much money he has, but you can't talk about how much influence Ryan has? You can't talk about how much money Blake and Ryan have. It does not take $1 billion to effectively smear someone today. It is ridiculous. It is not even in touch with reality. Yeah, Alfred Hitchcock be like, keep me out of this circus. Like, what is this? Exactly. LOL, Alfred Hitchcock. I mean, I feel like maybe he's going rogue at that point because he couldn't keep his story straight at this point in the deposition. I don't know. He's like, no, yes, no. Damn it. What did Ryan tell me to say? Can I phone a friend? No, this friend is not Ryan Reynolds, I swear. Can I phone a friend to ask, did he have more or less influence than Weinstein? Because I can't remember my script. This is just absurd. I'm sorry. This is absurd. I'm totally behind the connecting Blake to Dahmer because it makes so much sense to me. Like, you can't ruin Jeffrey Dahmer's reputation any worse by calling him a murderer, because he is. And everyone knows, unless you've been living under a rock, but probably still the people under a rock know about Jeffrey Dahmer. You don't not have to be a true crime fan to know about Jeffrey Dahmer. So that makes sense to me. This is ridiculous. And yesterday we were talking on the members only live because I didn't realize that Ashley Judd had sued Weinstein for ruining her career and for effectively like smearing her and telling people not to hire her because she's difficult. Well, I don't know. Who does that sound like? That sounds like Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is Weinstein. Ryan Reynolds is Weinstein. All right. Because what I found, we were looking it up yesterday, and Ashley Judd had this lawsuit against Weinstein. And because she, wasn't okay with these sexual favors and everything else that was going on, he smeared her. He was like, don't hire her. She's difficult to work with. He ruined her reputation. Okay, sorry, I'm buffering Ryan and Blake because if I seem to remember, Justin Baldoni wouldn't have that kind of influence. Justin Baldoni couldn't call up Ari Emanuel and be like, fire Blake and Ryan. Justin Baldoni couldn't call up Women's Health magazine and say, don't give Blake Lively an award. The person that had the ability to smear, the person that had the similar or equivalent power that Weinstein had to call somebody up and say, don't hire or work with this person because they're difficult on set, you don't want anything to do with them, is Blake and Ryan. Because that's what they did. That's what they did. Ari Emanuel came out and said, I'm their ride or die. He fired Justin, not Blake. Blake still has all her awards and she's still getting awards. And whether you want to argue over their paid awards or not, I don't care. That point doesn't even make sense at this point. Because either way, she's still getting them. I don't care if they're paid Time 100 awards or legit. I don't care if they're paid Women's Health awards or legit. The point is, people are still willing to give them to her. So if you ask me, the person that needs to be compared to Weinstein is Ryan Reynolds and his buddy Ari Emanuel. Not Justin. This doesn't make any sense to me. Money doesn't replace the power Ryan Reynolds has. The difference between 400 to 500 million that is alleged Blake and Ryan have. I think they have more, and a lot more than that, if you want my opinion on it, with all of his investments, et cetera, et cetera. 400 to 500 million doesn't make sense to me for Blake and Ryan. But let's even say the difference between $400 to $500 million for Blake and Ryan to $1 billion for Steve Sarowitz. I'm sorry. That does not replace the influence Blake and Ryan have in the industry. It does not replace the ability to call up Ari Emanuel and have him fire someone. It doesn't compare to Blake and Ryan being like, they are canceled. Justin's canceled. He can't get a job in Hollywood again. Am I going crazy? Am I the only one that sees the comparison as actually Ryan and Ari, not Justin, a Weinstein? And which is funny because I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but the head of CAA, which is a competitively sized agency to WME, had come out when Ari Emanuel had the audacity to come out and was like, yeah, you know, I'll have to make a statement about Weinstein and what happened. They're like, as if you're someone to talk. The guy, oh, what's his name? It's going to drive me crazy. Anyway, we've talked about it on the channel before. He's like, Ari, you're someone to talk about protecting women and ethics. All right. I'm glad someone is, you guys are agreeing, because it doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, so I'm not going crazy. Maybe I mean, I'm probably am going crazy. And this doesn't make sense to me. Money does not replace connections in Hollywood. It's just not the reality. It's not. Ryan has the power. Yeah, and WME still represents Diddy. No, we're protectors of women. All right. Agree. Hi, Chris. Definitely not going crazy. Well, I might be going crazy for other reasons, but glad I'm not going crazy, Jess, in regards to this. It's the comparison does not land. It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I would love to see Justin's side in court. Be like, actually, no, the Weinstein here is Ryan. It's Ryan. Yep, they're still repping him. Oh, yeah. They fired Justin, but keep Diddy. Yeah. They blacklisted Terry Crews because one of their top agents sexually assaulted him. That's WME for you. That's Ari Emanuel for you. He was blacklisted because he was sexually assaulted and he wouldn't keep it quiet. That's WME. That is Ari Emanuel. So you want to talk about blacklisting. You want to talk about influence. You want to talk about someone that has the power to ruin careers. That's Ari Emanuel and Ryan. I'm sorry. If Blake and Ryan had these perfect images and there was nothing in their past that, even if you do a smear campaign, people are like, what are you talking about? Like, they've never been problematic. People, there's nothing to say. They've been highly problematic, as honestly as everyone, pretty much everyone at that level in Hollywood. Yeah, we got to pay attention to who WME protects, because they weren't protecting Terry Crews. They were protecting their agent. They were trying to keep him quiet. So ridiculous. So that's my rant on, I'm sorry, Ryan, but you're a Weinstein in this example. You and Ari. Okay, let's get over to Isabella. Okie dokie. Videotaped deposition of Isabella. I think this is the first time we've really heard from her, if I'm right. Thank you. Do you like the birds? Can you pick them up? Okay, perfect. I was freaking out on the live. I'm like, he pulled in the driveway. It's like getting hives. I'm like, he's walking across the oh my God. I was like, no one listens to me. I told him not to. I know, I saw. Okay. Oh, yes. Sorry. Like the stream. I hit that way too quick. Yeah. Adam, thank you. Adam Bennett was the WME exec that assaulted Terry Crews. So I have, if you go under the playlist expose, there's like a 3-part on Ryan Reynolds. And I think it's a third one that I bring up the whole Terry Crews of it all. It's just disgusting. I feel so, there needs to be justice for Terry Crews as well. I loved seeing him with Sabrina Carpenter at Coachella. I just adore him. Okay. Let's do this. Question. Oh, guys, let's just do it. Here's another script. Deep breath, Ashley. We can do this. I'm like breathing. So I was reading this last night, and that's when I decided we had to go live today. I was like, oh, wow. Can you tell me what happened during the filming of that scene? Answer. My co-star and I were filming a sex scene, and after a couple of takes after cut, Justin Baldoni turned to my co-star and said, I know I'm not supposed to say this, but that was hot. Question. Was anyone else present when Mr. Baldoni said that? Answer. Yes. Question. Who else was present? Answer. The crew that were in the room for the closed set, my co-star, and I don't recall her being there, but I'm assuming the intimacy coordinator. Question. What, if anything, did you say after Mr. Baldoni made that comment? Answer. I laughed it off. Question. What, if anything, did Alex say after Mr. Baldoni made that comment? Answer. Nothing. Question. Did you and Alex ever discuss that comment subsequently? And then it jumps in time. Question. On page IF28, in the middle, you wrote, absolutely. I really hope he feels one day morally responsible for promoting bullying towards us after the way he's treated us already. And I'm grateful I'm not taking it too personally, and I'm aware that's bullshit. I'm going to stop there. Like, do none of these people have the ability to talk to someone if they have an issue with someone? They just are snarky behind people's backs? Because she sent the text message to him being really nice to his face. She did interviews saying how great it was. So Isabella Ferrer, wants him to be held morally responsible for promoting bullying. That was hot. Yeah, no big deal. It's a movie that Sony wanted to be like rated R. Sony's the one that said they wanted like hot or whatever, or sexy or whatever it was. They wanted it like that. And they make it seem like she's underage. I really don't enjoy at all how Blake's entire side is constantly making it seem like Isabella's underage. Oh my God, it's snowing. My love goes out to anyone in Ontario that's about to crash out over it snowing. Oh my God. That's fun. But they make it seem like she's underage. She is not. She's not underage in this role. The character is, but she's not. And I just feel like they constantly position it as if Isabella's underage. And it's so disingenuous. And it's intentional. Especially young Lily. Okay. Still, Isabella is not underage. So she wants him to be held morally responsible for bullying and promoting bullying against them. Question. How did Justin promote bullying towards you? Answer. Given the online hate that I was getting, it seemed like there was nothing being done to speak out against the bullying that was happening to the women and the cast. Well, he was going along with the rest of his press run. And I assume anyone that was online would have seen what was going on. Yes, Isabella, thank you. A round of applause for Isabella. We did see what was going on. It's because we saw what was going on online that we all knew y'all were nasty, bully mean girls. Thank you. Finally, someone inadvertently and not intentionally pointing out for this reason admits that the internet saw what was going on, because we did. That is why no one likes Blake. That is why people started going after you, Isabella. That's why you started to get in the crosshairs, because people saw the snake behavior. People saw the manipulation, the bullying, the unfollowing, him being in the basement, him cut out of marketing. People saw, and because people saw, they came to conclusions. So thank you. You were right. So also, she says, so also from what I had gathered information-wise from people such as Blake, it was kind of assumed that due to hiring a PR crisis manager, this kind of narrative was starting to get spun online. So this isn't Isabella's own. Blake told me. But it had to be crisis PR. That had to be fake. Yeah, snake. And don't forget to like and subscribe while you're here, my friends, especially for a Sunday stream. If you're not Just 2 seconds to hit like. Sunday, my day off. I'm here for you. Least you can do is hit like and subscribe. All right. So from what I heard from Blake, that's what's happening. And it says here, I think you're okay, so it skips. It looks like we're back to a question. I think your answer was, I think at that point, the fact that he wasn't recognizing that something was happening was enough for me to not want to speak to him. And I think you are referring to the something happening as the negative online comments. Is that correct? And she says yes. So she had wanted Justin Baldoni to defend her and the other women and say something. Basically say like, stop bullying them. Question, were you seeing any negative online comments about Justin Baldoni? She says no. Unbelievable. Oh, I love being here with the community. You guys are the best. It's my pleasure. So she says no, there's no negative comments towards Justin. Question, the only negativity was towards what you saw was towards your fellow actors? Answer, and myself. Question, and yourself? Answer, mainly me. So I think she's saying like not that all the hate went to her, but that's mostly what she saw. Girl, I tell my clients all the time, don't you dare Google yourself. Don't ever Google yourself. Shouldn't have been doing it. Question, you can put that one to the side. So it was exhibit 7 that she puts to the side. Question, Miss Ferrer, I'm going to show. Oh, and then it jumps again. Question, did Blake Lively ever suggest to you that this movie is a girls' night out kind of movie? Answer, no. Question, in the next sentence of that same text you wrote, Justin has been playing all of this up because he knows he's about to get his shit exposed. So he's hyping her up and then playing the victim at the same time. Wow. So she's obviously speaking to when Justin spoke positively about Blake, which is, I mean, very clear he's speaking positively about the lead in his fucking movie. And to try and not get attention to the whole thing. So he couldn't win. Justin couldn't win. If he's nice, then he's just playing it up because his shit's about to be exposed. That's what Isabella says. If he's nice, that's what it is. But if he doesn't say anything, he's also a bully and promote. Like, this is just insane. So the question, what did you mean when you said Justin has been playing all of this up? Answer, I think I meant the bullying and the narrative that was coming out after the premieres and after it was deemed by the public on social media that me and Blake and the rest of the cast didn't care about the real meaning of this movie. And given his, again, lack of really like speaking up for any of us or talking or coming out publicly to even defend, not Blake, but even just me, I found it to be kind of in line with him, with then him promoting himself and his voiced opinions about domestic violence and him being able to kind of be the only person to talk about that. So it seemed to me that he was playing this narrative up that we don't care and that he does. Okay. Do y'all think that Blake lied to her and Ryan lied to her? Because she seems to believe that it's his fault and everyone else's fault that they weren't allowed to talk about DV. And so it says he's promoting himself and his opinions of domestic violence, but he was the only person allowed to talk about it. I wonder if she was lied to. I wonder, doesn't excuse snake behavior. Yeah, I think so. Can you imagine finding that out later? You turn on someone that was kind to you. All over lies, being easily manipulated. Because she says he was the only one that was allowed to talk about it, which we know Maximum Effort is the one that did the marketing on the film. Maximum Effort is owned by Blake and Ryan. We also know, and the reason why Justin's name was top of mind, there's text messages where Blake says, Ryan and I, Maximum Effort, will take over the marketing. We will weed out any lame ideas. We're like the mafia. Which, yeah, she wasn't lying with that. But obviously, Isabella wasn't let in on the little secret thing that maximum effort, and therefore Blake and Ryan were the ones that were determining the direction of the marketing. So question, do you know if Justin wanted to participate in the press with you? She says, I don't know. Question, do you know if he wanted to participate in press with Blake Lively? Answer, I don't know. Do you know if he wanted to participate in press with Colleen Hoover? Answer, yes. Question, you know that he did want to? Answer, I know that he was going to, and then it jumps. So he did want to promote it with Colleen Hoover. And he was going to, according to Isabella. And then it jumps here and it says, she wrote, instead of whatever the writer said about bring your girlfriends wear florals, ? But we don't see the entirety of that. Answer, I think she's referencing Colleen saying something in an Instagram post. So Isabella says, I think she's referencing Colleen. Question, do you recall what Colleen's Instagram post was? Answer, I feel like it might have been a joint Instagram with her and other castmates in which the caption was or had like something under those terms, but I don't recall the specific post. Question, okay, you responded right, which is just wild because the only reason we were told to speak like that was through the studio, and Justin is only speaking on TV to make everyone look bad. So she's saying, look, the only reason we're talking about grab your friends, grab your florals is because of Sony. And therefore, Justin. This is wild. Question, was it the studio who advised you of how to market this film? Answer, from I was told yes. So everything's, I was told this is how we had to market the film. I was told Justin was promoting bullying. I was told that only Justin was allowed to talk about DV. I was told, who told you, Isabella? Who told you? Oh my gosh, we're going to have to do a stream. This is wild drink. Yeah. We're going to have to do a stream. I have my coffee. Too early to do shots in Ontario. Well, it's afternoon. Everything. I don't know. I was told. Who? Question. And did you ever speak with Justin as to why he was speaking on domestic violence? Answer, no. So she didn't even ask him. She didn't even reach out. She didn't pull up her big girl panties for 2 seconds to reach out and be like, hey, why are you the only one talking about it? Why isn't anyone else talking about this? Question. What is the basis of your opinion or your text that Justin was only speaking on domestic violence to make everyone look bad? Answer. I think the opinion was based off of the context that I had gotten about the timing of when he decided to speak on it. When we were told to not, and I think the studio I'm referencing is Wayfarer. She doesn't even know. She's like, the studio. Well, who's the studio? She's like, I think Wayfarer. I don't know. You ruin a man's life over, I don't know. You ruin a man's life over, I don't know, Blake told me. Someone saying, trust me, bro. This is, I was about to say, this is wild. Let's take a sip of coffee now. So I think the dichotomy of Wayfarer telling us to not speak on it and then Justin going to speak on it. When did Wayfarer? Oh, I'm going to get hives again. So I think the dichotomy of Wayfarer telling us to not speak on it and then Justin going and speaking on it kind of looked to me in conclusion like he was trying to make it look like we wouldn't want to talk about it. Question. And was that anything more than an assumption on your part? Answer. It was an educated guess. Educated on what? Someone needs to educate Isabella on what educated means. Question. We're just going to, add Isabella to the farm trip. Give her a muck bucket and a pitchfork. I have something to say with her as well. Question. What went into you forming that educated guess? Answer. Me being told that I couldn't speak on domestic violence by his production company and then him going and speaking on it. Girl. I wonder if she's seen the text messages yet. Isabella, what do you think about this? Blake Lively saying that she was taking over marketing. And here's the thing, even educated by Blake, even if you can get me to a place where it actually did come from Wayfarer, right? Let's just play pretend. And Wayfarer themselves had reached out to Isabella and was like, hey, this is how the film's going to be marketed. It still doesn't change who put that in place. It still doesn't change who created the marketing ideas, which was Maximum Effort, therefore Blake and Ryan. We have the text messages saying that Blake says, we will weed out any lame ideas. So is DV a lame idea, Blake? Is it lame to talk about DV? Because y'all came up with that. And if Sony signed off on it or Wayfarer signed off on it, it was because, as Justin said, I'm not going to die on this hill. By that point, everyone's like, just get this godforsaken movie done and out into the world so we can all be done with this. Whatever, Blake, do it. Take over. It doesn't mean that Wayfarer came up with it. Isabella. Question, anything other than that? Answer, nope. Question, and at the point of this text, had you already viewed his cut or a portion of his cut of the movie? Answer, I had seen, I think, 2 scenes he had shown me. I think portions of my scenes during reshoots months prior. Question, and where did he show that to you? Answer, during reshoots on set. Question, is that at the New Jersey location? Answer, yes. Question, was there anything that happened during those reshoots that was inappropriate? Answer, no. Question, anything about him showing you the 2 scenes that was inappropriate? Answer, no. Question, earlier in your testimony, you spoke about 3 incidents that made you uncomfortable on set. Do you recall that? Answer, yes. Question, I believe the first one was a comment from Mr. Baldoni along the lines of that was hot following an intimate scene. Is that right? Answer, yes. Question, why did that make you uncomfortable? Answer, it didn't feel appropriate in a work environment. You're shooting a sex scene, girl. This is what the judge spoke about, right? Like, I know you guys get it. And I'm sorry that I go on so many riffs, but I try in my head. I'm like, Ashley, just keep reading. Just keep reading, Ashley. This is what the judge was saying in context. Like, yes, if you work at Sun Life Insurance and your boss comes over to you as you're typing up something, it's like, hey, babe, that's really hot. It's really hot what you're doing right there. Yeah, it's probably fucking creepy and out of context and inappropriate. You are shooting a sex scene in a DV movie, in an adult grown-up themed movie that the studio, Sony, wanted to be hot and sexy, wanted to be like rated R. So yes, if you are working for Sun Life or you're working at the local clothing store, at the local body shop, it's going to be weird if your boss comes up and says, that's hot. I really like the way that you restocked those shampoos, girl. That was hot. It's going to be weird. It's not weird when you're doing a TV movie. Good voice. Ashley, your riffs are a sign of curiosity and critical thinking. Thank you. That's what they are. It's like me thinking of it through in my head. And then because I'm going through it with you guys, you are just at the receiving end of that, of my mental process of it all. So when I say like, I think I'm going crazy, it's because for a year and a half now or whatever, I've been trying to be in the head of Blake Lively. I think I am going crazy. So it's inappropriate, guys, when you're shooting a what the studio wanted to be a rated R film, for your boss to say it was hot, the scene that was supposed to be hot. Okay. And given that it was not necessarily like a note of any kind to do with my acting. Yes, it is. Oh, that. Unless it's in the Paris Hilton voice. That's true. If you walked over in the Paris Hilton voice, then I'd be like, okay, something's off. So God, I'm not even able to get through this. We're only on page 11. It had nothing to do with her acting, guys. Saying that that scene was hot had nothing to do with her acting. Okay. She continues, Isabella continues. It felt out of place and strange to hear about a scene. Especially a scene that is meant to be a PG scene. It was supposed to be a sexy movie, girl. It was supposed to be PG scene about two young teenagers having a very innocent experience intimately. It felt out of place to hear my director say that as a personal thing to me and my co-star. It wasn't a personal thing. What is it with her and Blake not being able to separate characters from themselves? Her and Blake are into Lululand together. Is it just a disease of being around rich, famous families? Is that what it is? Can you imagine being so out of touch with reality that someone says how you acted in a scene was hot, and then your reaction is, this has nothing to do with my acting, number one, and number two, it was personal to me and my co-star and had nothing to do with my acting. Holy shit. These people are insane. Question, you felt that the comment was directed to you personally? Answer, it felt like it was directed to me and my co-star or co-star personally. It's a compliment on your acting. He's saying you did a good job. I'm so confused. I'm sorry. These women are just out to lunch. Her and Blake. Question, you mentioned that, did you say the scene was meant to be an innocent experience? I didn't even catch what lawyers do it. It's what are you talking about? It's supposed to be innocent? Answer, yeah, the context of the scene is that my character was losing her virginity, and the way it was described in the script and kind of broken down with the intimacy coordinator is it shouldn't have been sexy or hot or any term like that. And it was much more to be meant innocent, leaning more towards a PG kind of intimate scene. You mean in the movie that Sony wanted to be rated R, super hot, super sexy, amp the sexy up? Sure. And when did you come to this determination, girl? Was it after Blake got to you? Question, did you have a conversation with the intimacy coordinator in which she mentioned that the scene in which your character loses her virginity was not meant to be sexy or hot? Answer, I recall having a discussion, not with those exact words. Not with those words. Okay, so now she's just making things up, but along the lines of specifically to do with certain movements that we had choreographed, and that shouldn't necessarily feel adult. Question, do you recall whether in rehearsing the intimate movements for that scene in which your character loses her virginity, Mr. Baldoni suggested or recommended particular sexual positions that were more adult than innocent? Answer, no. Question, so the comment from Mr. Baldoni with respect to withdrawn. So after you filmed a scene in which your character was to lose her virginity is when Mr. Baldoni commented that was hot. Answer, quote, I'm not supposed to say this, but that was hot. Yeah. Question, he prefaced this with, I know I'm not supposed to say this. Answer, I can't remember I'm not sure if he said, quote, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this or I'm not supposed to say this, but I know that not supposed to say this was in the context. None of these people can keep their stories straight. Question, the second instance that you mentioned that made you feel uncomfortable, I believe was it a rehearsal? Oh, apologies. It was a scene in the kitchen. Sorry, guys, just gonna stretch my back for a second. Ugh, I'm getting too old for sitting this long. Did yoga this morning, though. All right. Oh, apologies. It was a scene in the kitchen. Is that right? Answer, yes. Question, and why did that scene make you feel uncomfortable? Question, let me rephrase. You mentioned that there was an incident in which Mr. Baldoni gave you a note about licking cookie dough off of your co-star's finger and looking up at him. Is that right? Answer, no, it was a spoon in which he was feeding me the cookie dough. But yes, it was a note to lick it and look up at my co-star in a manner that I immediately kind of associate with something that had a addition to being, oh shit. Okay, it cuts off there. So essentially what she's saying is she didn't read the book because that scene is in the book. So Isabella's, exposing herself for not having read the book. And just like Blake, grown-up theme movies are not appropriate for either of them. The spoon's even catching strays. Wait, what Justin actually said, Isabella be on video somewhere. That's what I was wondering. Why hasn't that video surfaced? Because if they were shooting that scene, that's what I was wondering too. You would think it would be. If you can't understand you're supposed to be playing a character, don't act. Neither of them should be acting, I think, because neither of them seem to be able to separate the character from themselves and feedback on their acting from it being personal comment. It's very, very bizarre. All right, so we skip to addition of being one of the lead actors and the director, Mr. Baldoni was also a chairman of Wayfarer Studios. Answer, I think so, yes. Question, and did you have any concerns about Mr. Baldoni acting as an actor, director, and co-chairman of the studio before joining the film? Answer, no. Question, and looking back, do you have any concerns about him acting in those three roles simultaneously? Answer, I don't have concerns. I mean, okay, this is a good one. So do you have any concerns about him being in multiple roles? She goes, I don't have concerns. I mean, given the context of everything that's happened now, it's kind of hard not to look at it with some sort of bias of, yeah, it's hard to not look at it in a biased way, but I think it's a lot of power in a project. So you got to love how she's like, I don't have concerns. I mean, sorry, off script. What did Ryan Blake tell me to say? Okay, Blake and Ryan told me to say that's a lot of power in a project. Too much power for one person. Question, did you also mention that Alex shared with you when he met Mr. Baldoni, he commented something to the effect of, I really want you to get to know Isabella, and then winked at him? Answer, yeah, it was after the first day Alex and I met, and after it was the first day on the set in the location in New Jersey when I had just been driven out. I was introduced to Alex. Alex and I met, and then this is according to Alex, a couple of months later when there was a moment when I was away from both of them and we were getting ready to go to Jersey City again, or not again, for the first time from in New Jersey. Justin pulled Alex aside and said that he wanted Alex to get to know me really well, and yes, winked at him. Question, and you were uncomfortable learning about that interaction? Answer, yes. Question, why is that? Answer, because I had just met Alex and that was my director. To insinuate something of that kind of matter I found to be inappropriate. So they're assuming Justin's like, what? Go start a sexual relationship with Isabella? It is the most absurd connection and assumption and projection ever. And when, Isabella, when did you find it inappropriate? When Blake told you it was inappropriate? When Blake told you it had to have meant that Justin Baldoni wanted you and Alex to start sleeping together? Is that when? Yeah, I'm with you here. Ryan can't accept that his genius marketing with maximum effort was trash. Yeah, he can't. He will burn everyone down, including himself, before he admits it. 100%. Question, do you feel that comment from Mr. Baldoni that Alex should get to know you and then winking was sexualizing you? Answer, yes. Is this like the same kind of sexualizing as birthing Blake into the role? The jury is just going to have a field day with this shit. A bunch of millionaires, a bunch of rich, connected people complaining about stupid shit. And the jury's gonna be like, dude, I'm getting like $12 for the day. And you're suing someone for like $100 million for this shit. Are you kidding me? And now you're doing a Me Too defense and bringing in like every woman that Justin's ever met. Give it a rest. For realsies, give it a rest. Question, I'm going to turn your attention to Exhibit 15. Oh, no, sorry. The last exhibit we looked at, Exhibit 14. Answer, okay, we're looking at the last one. Question, yes. And this is a document stamped IF 00001 that counsel for the Wayfarer parties asked you about earlier. Do you recall reviewing this document? Answer, yes. Question. And in the first paragraph, the first blue paragraph on the page, you were reflecting to Mr. Baldoni, I couldn't have asked for a more welcoming environment. Do you see that? Answer, yes. Question, and at the time that you wrote this, was that an accurate representation of how you felt about the workplace? Answer, yes, because I think two things can be true at the same time. So I think I can feel welcome in a place and people can... Cuts off. So remember, she's going on and on. There's like a long text message and she's like, yep, I saw that. Well, two things can be true at the same time. I can feel welcome and totally basically uncomfortable too. And people can cross boundaries too, is basically what she's saying, which is just, that's her reasoning for why she sent those really nice messages to Justin, was like, You can make really gross comments to me. You can SH me apparently on set, you know, because Blake's bringing them all into this. Blake's protector of all women, remember, women and children. But you can also think it's like an incredibly welcoming environment with the best director ever. Yeah, I feel welcome and unwelcome. Like, what is this? So wild. Question, did you want to appear in press and promotions with Mr. Baldoni? Answer, I didn't really mind. Prior to hearing the other words that were expressed about him, I was happy to do anything at that point. So she was fine. What this says to me, and let me know what you guys think in the chat if you're watching the replay. Thank you for sticking around for over 2 hours if you're on the replay. I'll clip some of this and put up shorter videos. But what this shows to me is like, I had no issues with him until Blake. Let's just be honest, till Blake was in my ear. Like a little birdie, chirping. Probably Ryan too. Question, and once you learned about the experience that other people had with Mr. Baldoni on set, did you want to appear in press and promotions with him? Answer, not particularly. Question, why not? Answer, if a group of people are saying pretty negative things about a person that kind of validate the situations that I also experienced on set that I thought were inappropriate, it didn't really make me excited to work with him again. Question, did you hear that Miss Lively or Miss Slate had uncomfortable experiences on set impact how you felt about comments that were made to you or about you by Mr. Baldoni? Answer, yes. So she's like, yeah, changed my perspective. Question, how? Answer, it validated why I thought they were inappropriate. Question, and is that because other people were feeling the same way? Answer, yes. Blakey had her over for a sleepover and was in her ear, which doesn't excuse Isabella's behavior. Doesn't excuse it. That is not what I'm saying. I'm with you, my friend. That sounds like collusion. Yeah. Do you believe that, or was it your impression that Miss Lively genuinely felt uncomfortable with Mr. Baldoni's conduct towards her? And then there's an objection here. Mr. Michaelman, can you read that back for me or restate it? Grocer, yes. Question, it was, what is your impression that Miss Lively generally felt uncomfortable with Mr. Baldoni's conduct towards her? I renew my objection. Answer, yes. So she does think that Blake generally felt uncomfortable. Well, no shicks. You all got your stories together. Question, was it also your impression that it cuts off and then it just starts at a different place in connection with so we see her say yes. And then the question is in connection with the film. Answer, I recall that yes. Question, are you aware if Mr. Baldoni attended any of these floral themed events in connection with the film? Answer, I'm not sure. Question, did you understand whether Wayfarer had helped develop the plan that the film be marketed, about how the film be marketed? Answer, I found out after the fact, like after the movie came out. I didn't know while promo was happening who was controlling what. Oh, question, who do you recall communicating to you, if anyone, how you were to market the film? Answer, I believe it was through Sony. I don't really recall, to be honest. I just remember showing up. And like, Sony, the audacity of Sony as well, to be sending text messages behind the scenes, calling Blake a terrorist, that's all her fault, that, you know, it's her own doing, she doesn't listen. But you went along with it. You let her do the marketing. You let Ryan with maximum effort do the marketing. Ain't no one got a spine when it's coming up against Ryan Reynolds. And this is why I said the nice pool stuff is critically important, because you're not just going up against her. You're going up against Ryan, who obviously even Sony had concerns, but they went along with it. Question, you testified earlier something to the fact that in the August 2024 timeframe, you came to the conclusion that Mr. Seems to have cut again. Starts up with Mr. Baldoni, something about an ingenuine narrative. Do you remember that? Answer, yes. Question, what did you mean when you said an ingenuine narrative? Answer, this is regarding question. I believe it was in connection with the text. The best con artist I have ever witnessed is, I didn't get this far on my own. I was like, I need to finish the sales page for the narrative autopsy field kit last night if I'm going to be doing this with y'all today on my day off. She sent a text message saying, the best con artist I've ever witnessed. Oh my God, what a snake. They are all. Oh my God. Answer, yes. I believe that references the fact that he was doing press for in support of domestic violence victims. She's like, he shouldn't have been able to. And it felt ingenuine. Does she mean disingenuous? I think she means disingenuous because we were instructed from what I was informed by his production company to not speak on domestic violence. And then he went out of his way and did his own press run in the United States where he did only speak on domestic violence. And then when the rest of the cast, mainly the women, got cyberbullied online for it, he didn't do anything to stop it or to tell people that that was inappropriate and that they shouldn't cyberbully people. You gotta love when like being held accountable for your actions is cyberbullying, but I'm surprised she didn't say digital harassment, or would that have been too obvious that Blake gave you a script? So that was the part that felt ingenuine. Question, fair to say that you received some amount of online hate for not focusing on domestic violence in connection with promoting the film? She says yes. Question, and fair to say that Miss Lively also received some amount of online hate for the film in which she promoted the way in which she promoted the film? Answer, yes. Without focusing on domestic violence? Answer, yes. Question, and you were instructed, in fact, not to focus on domestic violence in promoting the film? Answer, yes. Well, whose fault is that, Ryan Reynolds? Question, did Wayfarer ever make any sort of public statement to your knowledge, acknowledging that they had instructed you or other cast members not to focus on domestic violence in connection with promoting the film? Answer, they never did. Question, are you aware of Wayfarer or Mr. Baldoni making any statement acknowledging the bullying or negative press that you were experiencing online? Answer, no. Question, are you aware of Wayfarer or Mr. Baldoni making any press statements or acknowledgement of the bullying or negative press that other cast members were experiencing online? Answer, no. Question, around the August 2024 timeframe, did you notice an upswell of negativity towards Miss Lively online? Answer, yes. Question, tax that she was a bully or a mean girl, for example. And that seems to jump. Answer, working in what sense? Question, did you find her to be supportive of you as a co-star, for example? Okay, so it was Blake supportive. Answer, yes. Question, and do you recall Miss Lively advocating for you to get a presenting credit in the film? Answer, yes. You start to see, right? Like the pieces. I don't know how anyone supports Blake anymore. You start to see the manipulation. Like, yeah, it's like grooming her, like grooming it. And she's a full ass adult. Like, I'm not making excuses for Isabella. She's a full ass adult. Take responsibility for your shit. But like grooming her at the same time, right? Like, oh, that's so inappropriate. That's so gross. Probably all happened at Blake's house for, grown-ups having a sleepover in the same bed. And then, I'm going to make sure you get a presenting credit in the film. All right. I've got you. I'm going to make sure this happens. Ryan will call up the heads of God knows where, and he'll pull some strings, and we will make sure you deserve it, Isabella. You worked so hard on this set. You worked so hard and you went through so much. I've got your back. Ryan and I, we have your back with our bestie, Taylor Swift. Don't forget, we're besties with Taylor. You love Taylor, right? It's so bizarre. And she goes, yes. So that happened. Question, do you believe that your relationship with Miss Lively or Mr. Reynolds was biased your testimony today in any way? She says no. Bullshit. Question, going back to certain of the comments that Mr. Baldoni made during filming, were you and Alex dating at the time Mr. Baldoni inquired whether you were single? Answer, no. Question, did you interpret Mr. Baldoni's comments to Alex to suggest that he should pursue you romantically or sexually? She says yes. Question, did you feel that it was appropriate for your boss to encourage your co-star to pursue you romantically or sexually? She says no. And then Mr. Schuster says that was 5. That was very fair. Miss Ferrer, I just have a few, and then we're going to get you out of here. The witness sounds good. Examination by Mr. Schuster. Question, when Mr. Baldoni made the comment of Mr. Michaelman, do you mind saying it again? I couldn't hear you. Mr. Schuster, no problem. Question, when Mr. Baldoni made the comment after the intimate scene between you and Alex and used the words that was hot, what were you wearing? What? And then it ends. What? What? That's a weird question, but okay. All right, guys, we got through Isabella's deposition that came out. It's just a whole lot of horse shit. Honestly, I don't know. I don't even know how to sum up today. I mean, we'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to go outside and do some farm chores after lunch. I don't even know what to say. This is wild. This case is wild. Isabella is a snake. Blake was in her ear, but I still think Ryan was in Blake's ear. I'm with y'all that we're saying, you know, as Elsie said, the call's coming from inside the house. I'm now on board. The call's coming from inside the house. I think Ryan, what you doing, Ryan? Finally caught up with you. This is wild. This is why Blake is paying Stephanie Jones legal bills. Is she? I wouldn't even be surprised. So she can hold that over Stephanie. I wouldn't be surprised. This is just, guys. To your thoughts on Blake believing her own PR. She probably believes all her 40 million followers are real. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be shocked. Like, Ryan's buying the bots, the followers. He's like, Blake, everyone loves you. Everyone thinks you hung the moon. You can do no wrong. Your hair care products are wanted by millions. It's just, I don't even know how to wrap this up. Honestly, guys, I don't even know. They're a bunch of psychos, but in my opinion, the problem with Hollywood is like, this isn't uncommon. TJ Miller was blacklisted by Ryan. He has not worked since Ryan blacklisted him, even though he read the statement that Ryan told him to read, allegedly, and took all the blame that Ryan's really a nice guy. He's hilarious. I think it's funny that the statement Ryan made him read also included him backtracking on saying Ryan wasn't funny. He had to backtrack. He's like, Ryan's really funny. Like, what was I saying? I was just joking. Funny he didn't send Martha Stewart a statement after Martha was like, Ryan's not even funny. He's not funny at all. Maybe Martha did get a statement and then she ripped it up and told him to fuck off. That's very possible. But, you know, people have been calling Ryan out before Martha Stewart. The problem is that it gets buried every time, or they take it back, or they refuse to say his name. They refuse to say he's the one. That's the problem. And I know, okay, there's just stuff I know from sets where people dragged me for saying he had some issues with some co-stars, and then I heard people already said I was right. He has more issues than you know, people are aware of. Hello, my love. I know I'm getting off. I'm done. I'm just wrapping it up. You know, this is Ryan's track record. He makes people cry on set. He bullies people. He controls every detail of everything, just like he did with Justin Baldoni, right? Like, can we push the filming? It would be great. I'll tattoo your name on my perineum. Like, this shit isn't new with him. This is what he does. And that's why I keep saying, like, I don't think you guys should really get your hopes up that he's going to be canceled from Hollywood anytime soon. He might take some time away, but Hollywood's got his back. And Hollywood's also got his back because this is how Hollywood rolls. Look what Ari Emanuel did to Terry Crews. Look what Ryan already did to TJ Miller. Like, this is what they do. This is Hollywood. I don't care if TJ Miller had a bad reputation or not. He was blacklisted right after he came out and talked about Ryan Reynolds. Go look at his IMDb. I don't give a shit. And this isn't just to anyone saying that, but like, I don't care. And the smear campaigns work better when someone has like a problematic past, because you just amplify that shit. But no one was canceling him until Ryan Reynolds blacklisted him. He came out against Ryan Reynolds. He never worked again. It's as simple as that, regardless of what someone's past was. People say that about Wesley Snipes. Yeah, but doesn't matter. He had an issue with Ari Emanuel. Ari Emanuel was, you know, putting the wheels in play for Ryan Reynolds to take over the Blade franchise with Trinity. There were supposed to be spinoffs, but everyone hated Ryan Reynolds' character, so that never went anywhere. And then, Well, look at that. Wesley Snipes tries to sue in regards to that movie, tries to sue over, and I can't remember, like, was it breach of contract or something, like something to do with the contract, something to do, he came out and was talking about like the money issues with it. And then, you know, he comes out against these people. He pushes back on the narrative that the powers that be were putting out there. What happened to Wesley Snipes? IRS knocking at the door. Well, the rumor is that Ari Emanuel's the one that reported him after he started pushing back against the narrative. That's a rumor. But Wesley Snipes starts pushing back. He sues over that movie where Ari and Ryan are already thick as thieves. And then he's in jail. But they have the audacity to link Justin up to Weinstein when they're pulling this shit. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. When all those two have done is ruin careers. Terry Crews, another one, right? Like Terry Crews comes out, sexually assaulted by a top WME agent. He's told, if you keep your mouth shut, you'll be the new leading man. We'll make sure you get all the leading man roles. He doesn't keep his mouth shut, and he's blacklisted. Terry Crews has been honest as well. He's like, look what happened in my career. This isn't even just me making this shit up. He goes, look at my career. Look at what happened after I spoke up. This is what they do. This is what they do. So, you know, and I hear that all the time, but Wesley Snipes, okay. I'm not saying people don't have a past. I'm not saying people are like, when I say someone blacklisted or someone ruined someone's career, Ryan Reynolds burnt down a school, okay? Ryan Reynolds inappropriately grabbed Olivia Wilde's boobs and thought it was funny on set. Like, you want to talk about problematic people. Ryan Reynolds has a problematic past, but he's not blacklisted because he is part of the powers that be. So, you know, when I keep, and again, this isn't picking on anyone in the chat, it's just like, we have to remember this shit. I don't care. Not that I don't care if someone's done something or has a certain thing they've done in their past. I'm not saying I don't care that they did that thing. I'm saying in terms of canceling someone, I don't care, because the reality is Hollywood doesn't give a shit unless they're using it to ruin someone's life because they don't like them anymore, because they they spoke out of line or they did something out of line. Hollywood doesn't care. They all got problems. Hello, hello. It's so nice to see you. So, you know, and you can go on and on and on and on about problems, a lot of which I can't say because I've been asked not to repeat some stuff. But let me tell you, they have a history. And Ari Emanuel is a piece of shit, honestly. My opinion only. How did Blake get the role of It Ends With Us? Was it her WME connections? Was it Ryan? That's a good question. I don't know how she... I'm not sure. I'm not sure how she came across. It's very possible. Allegedly, just my opinion, for entertainment purposes only. I had someone message me and like, are you sure you want to go up against Ari Emanuel and make all these accusations? Like, I don't care. I don't even care. It's just... these people are sick. These people are disgusting. This is what they do. And with Hollywood, and that's the thing too, right? In Hollywood too, everyone's got like the skeletons in the closet, but it's like, that's how they leverage it against people. Do you really want to come out against Ryan Reynolds? Do you really want to say something about so-and-so? Or you get Terry Crews, who really wasn't problematic at all. Like, have you ever heard anyone say anything about Terry Crews? Not problematic at all. How can you not just be in love with him? I have such a crush on Terry Crews. And you can't leverage anything like that against him. You can't be like, but this in your past. They're like, no, we'll get you leading man roles if you shut up and don't say anything about being sexually assaulted. These are the scumbags of Hollywood. these are the scumbags. And yet they're making Justin Baldoni seem like it. They're painting Justin as this creep because he said that scene was hot, because he said, you in your role as Lily, your outfit looks sexy, when she always describes herself as wanting to be sexy or her clothes being sexy. He's the problematic one. Okay. Yeah, Ryan versus The Rock. There's a long list of problems. Jake Gyllenhaal wants nothing to do with him. Like but you even look at like no one comes out and like actually, I think most Jake said is like, I don't want to talk about him, or I don't talk to him or anymore, or something like that. But you don't get details, right? People don't come out. And Jake, I feel like Jake would be a tough one to really do damage to, but who knows? You never know what people have on each other in Hollywood. Hoover, oh, I can't. Yeah, she's a wackadoodle. She's an odd duck, man. She's odd. All right, my friends, that's all I have for you guys today. I'm going to get some lunch. I'm going to go do some farm chores. It was so nice to hang out with you guys today. I will see you guys tomorrow. And if you're interested more in, Denzel as well. But see, everyone does it as like jokes, right? No one actually comes out and is like trashing Ryan Reynolds. It's always jokes. My dogs are taking everything down again. Okay, so I'll see you guys tomorrow, probably around 11 a.m. Eastern on your way out. Please make sure to like the stream. Oh my God, my dogs are having enough. They're like, Mom, it is Sunday. This is some bullshit. Make sure to subscribe, like the stream, leave a comment. If you are allowed to hype it. But I'm always getting mass reported by fandoms. Meghan Markle's fandom came for me, and now ever since I did a video on her, now there's no hype option usually on my videos. But if there is, please hype the video. I'll see you guys tomorrow. It's so nice to spend my Sunday with you guys. I love you. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.